But earmuff, you stay on hard.
All right. Hello. Good evening. Welcome to another live episode of the BCSN SportsWrap right here on the Black College Sports Network. I'm Bryan Fulford. That's A.D. Drew. Special guest today, contributor none other than Kelvin Carter. Kelvin and Drew, how you fellas doing, man?
I was doing good until Arizona lost to UConn and Mike Road Dogg Reed took all my damn money.
Tell me about it.
Other than that, I don't see him in here, but I'll congratulate him when I do see him in the chat, hopefully later on during this show. But other than that, man, first of all, proper introductions. He has risen. He has risen indeed. Happy Easter to everybody. So just want to get that out the way, and just basketball is over with. That means school is almost out for people like me. So it's all academic from here now, fellas. One more set of championships.
There you go. Kelvin, happy Easter to you as well.
Same to you guys. Always glad to be in with amongst the crew. Basketball is almost over here. Hadn't talked with Drew since SWAC championship. Well, we spoke, but hadn't seen him since SWAC championships, which was really great time to spend and see SWAC basketball up close. So it's been a good week, and like Drew said, it's almost that time the school's almost over with.
I'm glad y'all. I forgot. Drew is in a different school setting where for him, he is 4 weeks away. For me, I still got a month. I still have 2 months left. Feels like 2 months. So, I'm not nearly as close to celebrating as Drew is. When we hit that teacher appreciation week, that's when I know the countdown is on right then. But I still got a whole nother month to go. And
Bryan, the one good thing, I don't have to clean out my classroom so they can come wax the floors for the summer like you do. Kelvin knows what I'm talking about. He remember them days.
Oh yeah, plenty of days. Move all your chairs to one side, get rid of all your stuff, and get ready. But I do think that what we've seen though is some great sports here in the spring, and the tournament just starting, like I said, from the conference tournament play up into the NCAA play and all the bracketology. And I think we've seen some common threads in the NCAA tournament, especially on the men's side. Really good Final Four that just took place. So just having a good time seeing that, Michigan makes it all the way in there to the final, with Howard being the team that probably gave them the roughest bump in the road.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, going all the way in. And I'll give you a side note. I heard something last night that was crazy. I was watching one of the tournaments, whichever one Creighton is playing in, and they had a transfer from Howard. And the guy said, why would he have transferred from Howard when he could have played in the NCAA tournament? And then the announcer said, well, it's one thing, it's NIL. But he's over here in this sub-tournament, which might have been the college basketball tournament or the college basketball crown. But I didn't even, to just show you the dynamics of the NCAA, they're not even promoting. Like, no one even you don't even know who's playing in the NIT championship or the other tournament for that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, some of us do, when those of us who are paying attention for various reasons.
Yeah.
Some of us know, but yeah.
But I'm talking about
what you're saying though.
Yeah, in terms of hearing about it and understanding it. And Drew, when you guys were texting earlier today about the HBCU All-Star game, it's interesting the windows that they put these things in, because I was like, well, why is this game playing like midway of the women's championship? And I know it's maybe two different audiences, but I do think that the reality of it is South Carolina carries, because of Dawn Staley and, of course, what just happened with the handshake.
Friday night.
Yeah, it kind of, I'm not going to say that it took away from viewership, but I did watch the HBCU All-Star game. Attendance looked great. The venue looked great. Quality of play was really good. So that was all intriguing from a marketing perspective.
And we'll put a pin in that.
Something new that NCAA did this year, and I don't know if a lot of people picked up on it. This was the first year that they moved the Division II and the Division III national championship game into the same city,
along with the NIT.
Along with, well, the NIT was
it was traditionally in New York up until a couple of years ago.
Yeah, and then they moved it to Indiana.
The pandemic.
They moved it to Indiana the last couple of years, and apparently they even moved the site to where the Pacers play, which is a pro stadium, because apparently last year it was so popular that it ran out of space in Hinkle Fieldhouse, which was the whole reason, they were like, oh, let's move it to historic Hinkle Fieldhouse where they shot the movie Hoosiers, blah, 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 right? But apparently, because, everyone has to have access to be able to get in, greed, whatever you want to use, they say, oh, well, let's move the NIT. Yeah, well, no, but they moved it into the pro arena. So they basically set up 3 games running in the pro arena. And so the HBCU All-Star game, which always had found a home on Sunday on CBS, this year CBS was carrying the 3 games. So, I mean, where was the HBCU All-Star game supposed to go? I mean,
YouTube.
They found a home on YouTube, I guess. Those who caught it. And the production was good. It looked good quality.
High quality.
Yeah. And so, but did they miss, who knows what they missed out on, in terms of advertising dollars. Although I will say I was very pleasantly surprised to see a lot of local Indianapolis-based ads, being a hometown Indianapolis guy. I was shocked. I was like, oh, this is a great ad for you, so.
You made mention of that too, but if you've been, Bryan, you're from Indy, and I coach some summer basketball. Indy is a unique footprint in that if anybody could have all of that going on at one time, they could. Just in terms of that footprint, it's one of the better footprints that I've seen, especially with summer basketball. The parents were always enthused. They were like, "Well, man, everything is here, and all these games are played, so you got space for it." I think I made mention earlier, we were talking about camera angles. I couldn't figure out which one I liked best. The camera angles for the men's Final Four, which was like a zoomed in, up close video type thing. And we didn't even get into that the Fab Five AltaCast. That was really good.
I got thoughts about that. We'll talk about that later. I didn't see it. I didn't know it was happening. But after seeing a clip, I got questions. I got so many questions about it. I'm glad you watched it.
I watched it. It was
good.
Really.
We can talk about it since you watched it, but I got questions.
All right, go ahead with your questions.
But hold on, let's put a pin in
get
that.
to
Let's
it.
put a pin
We'll
in
get to it because we got. I mean, there's a lot going on with the NCAA stuff. Drew want to get a point in. What do you want to get in there, Drew?
I want to get back to the to the All-Star game, to the HBCU All-Star game. First of all, if you did not happen to catch it, and it is available on YouTube, go back and catch it. A very competitive All-Star game to start with. And for some reason, when we get together in these type events, be it the HBCU All-Star, NBA All-Star Classic, HBCU All-Star game, the product has been good. You know, the product, and I'm not talking about the production and everything which Kelvin mentioned. I'm actually talking about the product on the floor, the caliber of play that the young men played has been good. Now, I thought there was supposed to be a women's All-Star game. Did the women's All-Star game not occur this year?
It did.
Okay, because I have not seen the women's All-Star game. So if anybody has a link to that,
I haven't seen any promotion of a women's All-Star game.
Here's what's interesting. Did you watch the regular All-Star game?
Well, I'm talking about HBCU All-Star game.
When was that? When was that?
What I
did see the women's McDonald's All-American.
No, he's talking about the women. The women's had an All-Star game. So there was a Reese's All-Star game that was the men's, but it was only seniors. And then it was a women's game that was an All-Star game. And then it was the HBCU All-Star game. And I had a question, Drew, since the product was so good. I kind of wondered, and I know they can't expand it or it gets a little dicey, but I kind of felt like after watching the Reese's game, and then today it kind of verified what I thought. The HBCU All-Star game had a better play product than the Reese's All-Star game, the regular NCAA game. And I would wonder how the scouts would feel seeing the HBCU All-Stars in that same game with the Reese's.
Like HBCU versus the non-HBCUs.
Yeah, maybe not a versus, but maybe, like to get a true barometer of how a kid functions with a full lineup, playing with his full complement of, I got a shooting guard, I got fours, I got fives. Like, not maybe against, but maybe that could have been like a three. They could have did like something like what they did with NBA All-Star games with like three different, like an All-Star HBCU versus East, but kind of like a little tournament deal.
That would be interesting, but why do we want to share our platform with them? They don't want to share with us.
I don't know if this was about sharing, though, because if you kind of think about it, the goal in this is to get a scout the best possible view of what's our guy's name that was PV's leading scorer going throughout the SWAC tournament, the point guard. The young man that was a graduate, he led PV.
You talking about Horn?
Horn.
Yeah.
So like in what I'm saying is,
but is he the best pro prospect on the roster?
I'm not saying that he is. I'm saying out of they chose a HBCU All-Star game roster, right? If I'm truly trying to judge that to see if I'm gonna go out of one of the top 64 picks, which probably not, but or an undrafted free agent or a UGA, it would make sense that because all these kids want is a fair opportunity to bump heads in a controlled and competitive environment to see how do I stack up, like do I stack? And that was a controlled environment against seniors, though. It wasn't like they had that.
What happened is some of these kids who were in this HBCU All-Star game will get invited to the NBA camp. It was in Chicago last year. I'm not sure if it's going to be in Chicago again this year. They'll get those looks in there. They'll get after the draft, which nobody will get drafted. Let's be real. Some of them get picked up by summer league teams, Vegas.
Yeah.
It's usually Vegas, Utah, and
Orlando,
San Francisco. Oh, yeah, I forgot about Orlando. So there's like 4 different summer leagues that go on. They'll get their look. So they'll have their opportunities to show their stuff. These kids, all they're looking for is an opportunity to either stay pro stateside by signing a G League contract or to go overseas. All these kids doing, and all any student athlete is doing once they leave school is the land and inevitable. What's the inevitable, y'all?
A job.
A job. I got to go out and have a career to take care of my family. You just delaying the inevitable. And the second inevitable is one day the knee's gonna go out, that back gonna go out, and you're gonna have to rely on that degree. It may be 10 years before you have to use that degree for real. But at some point in time, those two inevitables are going to happen. So that's all it is, man. And all these kids is opportunity. And I've always preached this, eat from my high school coaching days, college coaching days, whatever. If you can make money with your body, playing basketball, football, whatever sports you play, and delay that inevitable as long as humanly possible, please do. Because you have to punch these time clocks.
Now you want to give kids 6 and 7 years, Drew. Come on now.
I don't think he's talking about it from an eligibility.
No, I'm not talking about in college. No, I'm not talking about in college. I'm talking about.
Okay.
But you bring up an interesting dynamic, Brian, because that's one of the reasons why these kids going back get these extra years of eligibility, because they're delaying the inevitable while still working on that second and third degree. Well, supposed to be working on that second and third degree. Some of them still only got just enough credits to be eligible.
Yeah, I was going to say,
because what everybody don't realize, every time that you transfer, your transcript gets diced up. How many times have we seen a JUCO kid? He got 65 credits at JUCO. He goes to any 4-year institutions. He's got 42 if he's lucky.
Well, they did. Drew, I work with this every day, though. What they've done in most of these instances, they've come up with, and they've seen the error in their ways because it is financial. Take Missouri, for instance, they have the Mo 150. If you complete community college or if you play JUCO ball, they're accepting this block of hours as is. Now, are they going to tack in some extra on top to make their money? You know how the universities do it, because it is at the end of the day, it's that. But from a workforce development standpoint, Bryan and A.D., what would you think about the fact that during this whole period of time, yes, they're there focused on their play because they want to keep going, but it could be an opportunity to see all of the things that we understand are behind it, from the content creation to the athletic training to all of those things that are there in there. And it's a lot of moving parts going on at the Final Four. And they get exposure to all of it, whether a kid wants to be inquisitive enough to say, I wonder how they sold the tickets for this. Or I wonder who put together all the stages. Or I wonder there are careers there. And that might be that part. Like, you might not be pro, like a lot of the coaches say. You're not going to be a professional if only 7% or 6% of these people are going to be pros at playing. But there's another 93% that are going to go on to be professionals in life. So why not have something that's connected to what you're truly interested in?
Which
my understanding is they do have those. They do have those seminars and those kind of opportunities attached.
Yeah, unpaid internships and everything else. But let's be real, Carter. At 20, 21, 22 years old, you weren't thinking like that. If you was playing ball, you was thinking that thing is gonna go on forever. And you was trying to do it forever. So, while the opportunities are there, I'm just not sure, especially today's generation, that these kids and their parents are wise enough to take advantage of these opportunities, because some of these parents are selling these kids pipe dreams. Some of these so-called NIL agents are selling these kids pipe dreams. You guys do realize that there's over 1,000 D2 basketball players entering the portal after the championship game.
That's the number.
Tomorrow night.
Wow.
And that championship was actually on today too, so you can kind of get a barometer of, if you looked at the D2 championship, and I'm sure there are going to be some D2 kids. I think one good story is like the guy from Iowa. He came from Northwest Missouri State, and Northwest Missouri State was a D2 power. He brought a couple of kids with him. There's a couple of kids that matriculated. But Drew, let's push on this point that you said about that have you, Bryan, Andrew, when is the last time, I'm talking about in your working careers, name the last pro that you've been on campus with, right? Just think back to it generally. So I was in school with McNair, John Theory, and Donald Driver. I think what happens, and this is just my opinion from being around these guys day in and day out, when you're in close proximity to what they want and what they're chasing, and if they want Drew, and they, like Drew's going to the Shriner game, John Theory went to they both played in the game that's in Mobile. I can't think of the name of it, but Don Shula was John Theory's coach there, and he said he's that guy. And when McNair went, it was McNair, Jay Barker, Kerry Collins. My point in saying this is, I think the level of delusion has simmered a little bit because you have more people being very, very transparent with them too. Like, we're picking Bryan, not you. And here's the reasons why. And when you're in a locker room with a guy, you're not him. That doesn't stop you from being delusional. I'm just saying, I think that there's way more guys sitting there saying, if I've seen what they're picking and I stand next to it every day, I know where I fit. But where am I going to fit in? Maybe not on this. Maybe I'm the coach. Maybe I'm going into training. Maybe I'm going the broadcast route, especially now with the level of content creation that's around.
But also something that has happened, Kelvin, is that the number of opportunities has dramatically dwindled. Football draft has gone down from where they used to be in the over 12, 10, 12 to rounds. Now it's 7. Basketball, there used to be, I don't know what, 5 or 6 rounds. Now they're down to 2.
Yeah.
So, your reality check is just, all you gotta do is watch. Just look.
Right.
But let me flip that though, Bryan. While the number of opportunities to get drafted have decreased,
the opportunities have increased.
To play have increased.
UFL,
yes.
Yes. UFL. It was the D League, now the G League. Who remembers the CBA in Des Moines, Iowa, or wherever they used to play at, Cedar Rapids and all that stuff. The opportunities to play, and because at least in the basketball realm, the teams are affiliated. The G League teams are affiliated with a professional franchise. The number of baseball, opportunities have decreased. Now there are only, you only get 4 teams, I believe now. Rookie ball, single A, double A, and triple A now, where teams used to have 7, 8 minor league teams. So there are a lot more now independent league teams now competing. So I won't say they increase. I won't say they decrease. The opportunities have shifted, though. They have definitely shifted.
Yeah, that's a good word. That's a good word.
And being able to go park a player somewhere to let him develop does not happen anymore, especially today's media age.
True.
Let me bring this back to we were talking about the All-Star game, and I'm sitting here trying to get the information. We were talking about a women and a men's All-Star game. I see nothing on the site this year talking about a women's All-Star game.
It may not have happened.
I thought it happened last year, and I don't know, maybe I'm having a selective memory moment. I'm checking. It did happen, yeah. Okay, yeah, they did bring it back. Year. I was just talking. Okay, so I was checking with Liv for Hoops. Shout out Liv for Hoops. Liv for Hoops, and she was just telling me that there was an All-Star game last year for women. Don't know why it didn't happen this year.
There was one this year. It was held Saturday, April 4th at 11 a.m.
Oh wow!
Where? By who?
It said
by who?
It's
because there was no promotion of it. They're not even on the website. I'm literally on the website. There's no roster, no nothing.
Well, so, it says it right here.
An HBCU All-Star game, basketball game for women.
Oh, you're looking for the HBCU? Oh, no, I thought you were asking period about
No, because that's where we started talking about the women. Now, back to the big picture of all the events happening in Indianapolis. You're talking about there was a collegiate, all college basketball players, right? Which HBCUs are part of that, but not just our own. We have our own thing, but we're also part of the bigger picture. There was that. That's the Reese's one that you were talking about. You had the McDonald's. So somebody had asked the question, and I'm glad you brought up the fact that you thought Indy was a great place to have all these things. Now, I don't know what future cities. I haven't looked in the calendar to see where it's going next year.
Detroit.
Oh, really?
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, that's interesting. But somebody said, man, they should just have the women's tournament in the same city with the men. And I was like, yeah, pump the brakes on that. Pump the brakes on that. I don't know if I don't care what city it is. I don't know if one city is big enough for all of that. Because I think it's sort of the women's game. There may be people that complain that the women's tournament already gets drowned out a little bit by the men's. It would really get drowned out if it were in the same city, trying to battle for time and attention with the men.
I don't know, but Brad, I don't know if it would be a battle, but I will say this. I've gone to the women's Final Four twice. They are two different consumers, and I'm just being totally honest. I'm a hoops junkie, and when I saw the opportunity to see UConn, Louisville, and Notre Dame play, I jumped on it because I wanted to go see great basketball, and it was in a year where we weren't hosting a regional here in St. Louis, but they're two unique pieces. Could they cohabitate together? One might say that they could if they marketed it the way they got the machine. But I do think then there are all these ancillary pieces that go. Like there's nothing like the college slam dunk contest and all the things that follow like if you've been to a Final Four, there's so much that follows it. I think it works better in two separate locales because they've done such a good job growing the game. I don't think that they would want to shrink it to put it in the box with the men. That's just my opinion.
And it's not so much about the game itself. It's all the other stuff that goes on around the game. For instance, the coaches convention and the athletic directors convention goes on at the site of the Final Four every year. The women have their own coaches convention that goes on at their Final Four site. So just the logistics of trying to host all those different events, along with the parties and then we try to do all these other ancillary events, trying to put all the men's finals games for all levels in one place. And if you did that with the women, hell, you basically limited it down to a 3-city rotation.
Yeah. Well,
Atlanta, Los Angeles, and Las Vegas. That's about the only 3 cities that can really handle something like that.
Yeah,
for which one?
If you was combined all men and
women. I got you. Okay, yeah.
And them about the only 3 cities that I could think of that could really handle all 3 of them simultaneously: Atlanta, Los Angeles, and Las Vegas.
And it's a reason why it pivots back to Indy. That I think it's every 3rd or 4th cycle is going to be in Indy. That's just
it is. It is.
That's where it's going to be.
Matter of fact, it's in Atlanta in I think 31. I think 31 is the Final Four in Atlanta, but it goes back to Indy before it comes to Atlanta.
Right.
I think Indy gets it in this is 26. Indy gets it like 29 or 30. And I had pulled it up a couple of days ago. And one good thing about Indy that I like about Indy as a location, when you look at a map in the Midwest, Indy is like 4 or 5 hours from every damn way.
Well, so is St. Louis.
Yeah. Well, I mean, here are the future dates for the men's tournament. You mentioned correctly Detroit next year, Ford Field, and of course you got to have an NFL stadium in order for this to happen. Then in 2028, it's going to Las Vegas. It'll be an Allegiant Stadium. Now that's going to be fun.
Right.
The NCAA tournament in Vegas. I'm sorry. That is just going to be on overload explosion right there. Then it comes back to Indy in 2029. Yep. And then it's going to North Texas, the AT&T Stadium. And then they go to Atlanta in 2031.
Yeah.
Mercedes-Benz Stadium. So that's the next 5 years for the men's tournament. So, and I didn't look up the women's future sites, but I can if you really care.
Go for it.
Let's see.
Well, the other part too is, I see in the chat someone was like, "Why couldn't Atlanta handle it?" It's about the footprint of it, because although you're right next to, you got the Mercedes, which is right there, and then you got Phillips.
State Farm.
Yeah, State Farm. Well, the women's doesn't take that grandiose scale, and they're not trying to actually rob you. They're just trying to keep it in a large enough arena to where that makes it feel like it is. The NCAA gives no cares about the regionals. They're fine with them being in modest stadiums, because if you look at
NBA arenas,
if you look at regionals, like they played a regional in St. Louis at the Enterprise Center, which is a hockey arena. It's got great seating. But if you notice something, if you pay attention to the NCAA and you watch the regionals are not really packed unless they get them loaded with the right teams,
local teams.
Yeah, and usually, they're going to put Duke in the weakest region, per se, the weakest. But I think too, we pivoted towards none of these regions are weak, just by sheer fact that the NIL, the player movement, the balancing out of everything, none of it's weak. Now you can pick some where you'd be like, well, they got a better chance. But I think now you're in a situation, like they said, there's no Cinderella, forget the slippers.
Well, that's why with so two different strategies are happening with the men and women's regionals. Men's regionals, because of the teams, like you just mentioned, you want to have a strong fan base. They are largely based on a fan base, your 1 or 2 seed being within a 4-hour proximity,
like Michigan was to Chicago.
Site. Correct, because
that's if you don't get the big number 1, though. That's if you don't get the big one.
You still want the 1 or the 2 seed, because theoretically the statistics show you that the 1 and 2 seed will most likely be in that regional. So you want one of those. So they're I think if we were to go back and really do the research,
Duke and Carolina tend to go to Charlotte or Raleigh if Charlotte or Raleigh is a whole city.
That's if they get. I'm just saying, Brian. Remember, out of the top 4 ones, there's a number 1 overall.
Yes, there's an overall one,
and they plot them out. What you find is, like, for example, Illinois and Mizzou were in the Midwest region.
Right.
Drew, what
seeding? But pay attention to what seeding. Illinois was a 3 seed. The only way Illinois was probably a worthy 2 seed, but instead, what they do, they made them a 3 seed and they stuck them in the Midwest because they said what?
That's a home game.
Exactly.
That's what I'm getting at, Brian.
Illinois was probably a worthy 2 seed. But I mean, we're talking, a scale, a scale of a point difference between a 2 versus a 3, right?
And they have the ability to do that within that what they call the top 16 snake.
Yeah. And the West, and whenever who's going out West, it's going to be one of those West Coast teams or somebody west of
the weakest
Colorado
Eastern
Mountains.
Teams.
Well, they're going to give that big boy number 1. Traditionally, wherever they will run Duke out of their natural region if they're going to make them the number 1 overall.
Yeah, you'll never see. Yeah, you'll never see a Duke. I mean, I can't remember the last time you've seen Duke play out in the West, unless they were not if Duke is not a 1, 2, or 3 seed. Duke ain't playing in the West. Now, if Duke's a 4, or that one year where Duke was like a 6 seed, yeah, they may throw Duke out West because they are what they are, right? You can't hide that. But if you got a top seeded Duke, then you're going to put them somewhere, east of the Mississippi River. The other thing with the women, now you notice what the women did. The women's regionals,
2 home games.
They combined
2 regions into.
They combined 2 regions in 1 site.
Right.
So again, now you got 8 teams in 1 location. So and then with the whole women's tournament where they
got first round on campus.
They got first rounds on campus. So you talk about a tournament that's even more skewed towards the top teams, right? It's automatically skewed to the top 16 teams to say, hey, if you're one of the top 16 and you don't make it, that's on you, because we're giving you home games, first off, and then secondly, you're going to end up in a region that's probably relatively close. That's why you get 4 number 1 seeds, because what kind of traffic did the 4 1s have to go through? Shit, they have to go through no traffic. I mean, that's why you end up with 4 1s for 2 consecutive years. Okay. I did look up the future sites for the women's Final Four, just in case you were curious. Next year, the women's Final Four goes to Columbus, Ohio. That's interesting. Columbus, Ohio. Okay. Then they stay in the Midwest the following year and they go to Indianapolis. Then in 2029, they go to San Antonio, which is the Alamo Dome. Then in 2030, they go to Portland, Oregon. And then in 2031, they go to Dallas, American Airlines. So
you know what I find interesting, Bryan, what you just went through? So 3 of the next 4 years, Indy is hosting one of the 2 Final Fours.
As they should.
Well, the NCAA offices are in Indianapolis, first off. So let's not miss on that. Let's not poo-poo that. Yeah, don't forget that. I mean, look, there's a little bit of money that the NCAA is saving by having it in their backyard. That's less travel and flights that they got to make for everybody, and logistically they can kind of do everything. Edwin, this is not Columbia, Southern Colombian blue and gold. This is University California, Los Angeles blue and gold, baby. National champion Bruins. Yeah.
Hey, Bryan, you find this interesting, right? So you want to speak about Duke, and it's exactly what I thought about being the big number 1. So they were East-East the last 2 years. 24 and 22, they went Southwest, 18 Midwest, and I'm talking about the years for their Sweet 16 appearances. It's according to when you get the big number 1, you get allegedly, prior to this NIL stuff, you get the weakest of the sides. That's why everybody, when they complain about the unfairness towards Duke, if they can get them in the big number 1 slot, they're going to run them somewhere. Now, that means they have to concurrently make that Eastern bracket, allegedly, the path of least of resistance for Duke. It just so happens to, in this year's tournament, it was so even, Steven, you could kind of see some of the wheels turning on poor matchups, and that's what it kind of turned into. Like, it was, you can't replace who's in the Final Four, but I just think that those matchups, it's a tough matchup the way it all kind of played out, which is going to be a great final, I believe. I don't think it's going to be a blowout, but to see Michigan put their hands on those people last night the way that they did was rather intriguing.
Okay, before we get into talking about that, and I know I still want to get into one of the hot topic stories from the weekend regarding the women's tournament and stuff like that. Drew, remember a couple of weeks ago when we were talking about what the future of the NCAA tournament was going to look like, and you brought up the 80 game.
I said 80. I should have said 72 though. Should have been my number. But the concept was correct. I just had the number wrong.
I think what you even in a better way, I think this is actually better. Instead of 7, what you mean is 76, because the report started coming out over the past week from Ross Dellinger of Yahoo Sports. I think he's one of the people that are getting the most credit for dropping this out there, that the NCAA is there is a strong sense that the tournament is going to expand from the field of 68, right, to 76 teams.
Yeah.
So what that means is, instead of just 4 play-in matchups, 24 teams would compete in a new opening round with 12 games played before the traditional first round begins. In this model, 52 teams would automatically advance to the current round of 64.
And then the 12 winners would join.
Right. And then while the remaining 24 teams made up of lower seeded automatic qualifiers, and I laugh at this part, and the final at-large selections, no, they won't, would battle it out for the final spots. These games would primarily take place in Dayton, but they're probably going to look at alternative sites. This thing could happen as soon as next year, Drew.
It's going to happen next year.
Brian,
you know what?
Wait, where did y'all hear that idea first?
No, I'm giving you credit. That's why I'm bringing it up, because
Drew, you got to think about it. So
that's exactly what you're talking about, Drew. And in essence, what it is, it's the 16, 15
and 14.
And I think it's also the 14 seeds, but they're gonna try to
they're gonna leave it at the current 11.
They're gonna try to say 11s, but I'm like, BS. It's gonna be a battle for definitely what it is. It's gonna be a battle for 15 and 16 seeds. And then that's 8 games. Let me see. And then you're going to have
if you keep the 11 line.
And then is that what it is for the 11s? Okay.
Yeah, the 11s are the other teams that play in the play-in.
Right.
But there's also I think Blue Jacket said something interesting in the chat. Like he said 8 more mediocre teams. Here's a challenge, right? And I'm not biased. I don't really care for, I love St. Louis because I live here. So take the St. Louis Billikens, right? They go on an incredible year. I watch them, and I'm like, they're not that good. But they're going to win an A-10 that if they don't win their conference championship, although they won the regular season, if they don't win the conference championship, they're going to force the A-10 to be a 2 or 3 team league. So this year, the A-10 is a real good example. They did not deserve 3 teams in, but they got St. Louis U, VCU, and Dayton in. So now when you kind of look at that, if you look at what you read, Brian.
Hold on, Kelvin. Who ended up winning the conference tournament in that A-10?
Either Dayton or VCU.
That's why. Because then somebody knocked off St. Louis, and that's the only reason that happened.
And that's my point. They're gonna put in 8. It's interesting. They didn't use the words 8 automatic conference champions, right? They used that terminology. They didn't say tournament champions. So in a scenario with the SWAC, does Bethune-Cookman get in because they won the regular season?
What I have been told, and I've had this conversation with Dr. Cavill, if the Southwestern Athletic Conference wanted to designate their regular season champion as the team that gets the bid, they could do that. Now, you would probably have to have a vote. That would have to be voted on and agreed upon by everybody. But the conferences can do whatever they want to as long as they vote and rule on it. They all agree to do this conference tournament thing because, well, you get the ESPN exposure and it sounds great, but you also do it at the risk of what? Your top team getting knocked out in the first or second round, and then boom.
It's just like those conferences when somebody's either on probation or in transition, and they allow them to still compete for the conference championship.
Right.
But they declared before the tournament, if this team wins, then this happens. If this team wins, we're going to send our regular season champion, or we're going to send the other finalist
tournament team. Yeah.
Right. But they declared before the tournament begins. So, but you're all right, Brian. The athletic directors and the presidents in each of those conferences can do whatever the heck they want to do.
So, but there are one bit. What I'm getting at is, does that turn the SWAC into a 2-bid league? No,
never.
SWAC's always
never.
Out of what is it, 32 conferences, Brian?
32 conferences.
SWAC is gonna be 30 or below every year.
Right.
Unless things change, they'll be 30 or 32. Unless and really what it is, it's really having to beat other mid-majors, but we know how many other mid-majors are we really scheduling in a 12 game 12 to 14 game non-conference schedule. Not very many,
because we chasing the dollar.
Well, yeah, you have to chase the dollar.
And that goes back towards when we were at the SWAC tournament, and I think I turned to someone and said, how is it? And Dr. Cavill and I, we had this conversation on one of our breaks.
That part right there, G-Boom.
Yeah.
That part right there.
we had the conversation during one of our breaks. Somebody's going to have to find a competitive balance to this one fact. Prairie View's women were 0 and something. They didn't win a game.
0-18.
0-18
in conference.
I'm not upset about it, but at the end of the day, what are you doing for the morale of your institution where you hit the tournament, which you could win and go to the NCAA or whatever, but you hit the tournament. It's something about that scheduling piece. It's like you got to go find the money, but I think BC or any of the men's teams, they complained this week about Mo Williams is a good example. Oh, he had a horrible record. Dude, he's gonna lose. He loses his first 11 games of the year going out getting money
every year.
So he's gonna roll into St. Louis. I already know when Jackson State comes to St. Louis, he's to play Missouri or St. Louis. Somebody's gonna ask me the question. Well, Carter, why is the team from your hometown 1-11? Well, let's go back and look at this record of a schedule that St. Louis you can't play. That's an interesting piece. St. Louis didn't say on the strength of schedule side. Jackson State or any SWAC school, Bethune-Cookman, technically played a tougher schedule than St. Louis University, who didn't play one top 10 school the whole season. Whereas Jackson State went on the road and bumped heads with 5 haymakers, complete from Houston to the University of Missouri to Kansas. If you just kind of look at it for what it's
worth. But you got to win some games. At the end of the day, Kelvin, somebody's got to win. You got to win
what
some
I'm
games.
Is St. Louis U chose not to play them and went and won middle-of-the-road games. And St. Louis, I use them as a good example.
But what did St. Louis U have? If you go look at the attendance of their home non-conference games, I bet you anything it was greater than 7,000 for every home game they had.
They only seat 13. I go to every game, and it's anywhere from 10 to 13,000 people there.
That's even more than what I was giving them credit for just filling half the arena. But you said
no. I'm talking about they have a small on campus. It's a new arena, but they did the smart thing. Drew knows this. Instead of playing at the Enterprise Center,
which they used to.
But Brian, you have
my
to
point
incubate.
is 5 times more than what Jackson State fans are going to
1,500
for a let alone a conference. I don't even think the arena holds 10,000 people. So there's those kind of inequities.
Nobody is drawing 5,000 in basketball except for that rival game.
Look,
nobody's drawing 2,000.
I'm just pointing out to the. I am just stating what Kelvin is bringing up about why so Bethune-Cookman played a tougher schedule. Yes, but also at the end of the day, you have to win some ball games. You got to win some ball games.
Question, Brian, let me interject this piece. It's been a while, but Drew, I'm sure we could get some research around it and go back, just look at schedules. When is the last time that, other than, I'm going to use Jackson because I'm familiar, that Jackson State played somebody other than Tougaloo or some local Delta State or somebody at home, right? Like at some point, somebody's going to have the audacity or the strength to say, you know what, we're going to have to figure out a way to turn fans. Alcorn will never turn a fan. If you just based upon proximity and location, unless it's the Jackson State game.
Now, why is that?
Oh my God!
Why is that?
It's rule.
Ask Drew.
It's rule.
Dude,
it's hard to get. It's hard to get there.
Yes.
No one wants to go there.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah. Now, Brian, I am not. If I am, I don't care if I live in Vicksburg or whatever. I am not going to Alcorn State on a Monday night or a Thursday night to watch Alcorn Braves basketball unless I have an invested interest, like my child or something like that is going. I'll go down there on a Saturday, but you are not going to get me on a Thursday or a Monday night. Same thing in Grambling. Grambling's another good example of that.
Since we're bringing up Alcorn, we're jumping all over the place here, right?
That's all right, because we have a script anyway.
We recently came up, and there was some great historical information came up about Alcorn's teams from the early 80s, right?
Yes,
now,
sir.
And this was like right on the edge of when I started paying attention, to college basketball. So being a kid in Indiana, you know, I was not paying attention to no damn teams in Mississippi, right? So let me just ask this question, since we're talking about attendance. Kelvin, what were the attendance numbers like back for when those, because those were good ball clubs.
Hey, man, Brian,
what kind of attendance did those teams draw?
This is what will let you know what the attendance was. If you were a student, you could only go to every third game.
So the teams were winning and they were good.
No, what I'm saying is we didn't overbuild, meaning we had a gym probably similar to Bethune-Cookman's gym. I'm trying to give you some perspective.
Are you sure it's not the same gym they got now?
No. We had the David L. Whitney Center was built when my parents were in school. We're talking about that team. Alcorn ran a stretch where they won. They went probably 30. They probably went like 93-5 over a stretch. But I'm saying they were in a smaller gym situation. Also, too, in that historical context piece of that run, there were a lot fewer things going on, period, socially. And the kids that were on campus were packing it in. The local footprint around Fayette, Port Gibson, like my dad told me, he said, you can only go to every third game. When you got your tickets, if we all were friends, we might get to go to one game or another, but you had to rotate in and out to go into the game. That's what my guy just said. They only played in about 1,000-seat gymnasium. It was freaking ridiculous. And at the end of the day, someone's putting in the chat that we don't support it. I think you have to get very, very, very creative, especially in a footprint like an Alcorn, or Grambling. Drew, I don't know that much about the Grambling during the weekday, but you have to do something to engage the local base. You know, Jackson, I don't know what Jackson's excuse is for not having high level attendance at home. I don't.
Let me throw something out to you, Kelvin, and you bring up a good point. And you mentioned the smaller gym. So you probably on a regular back during the day that you're talking about, probably 2,000 people in that 3,000 seat arena?
Max.
Okay. The thing is, Kelvin, we're still drawing those same 2,000 people in theory. It's just that our arena seat 5, 7, 10,000 now, because we've had to build our arenas for more than basketball. These are multi-purpose arenas for concerts, for graduation, for convocation. You know, Brian, let's take what we went to Florida A&M. You remember the days back in Gaither Gym when we only sat 3,000 people? I think that might have been the magic number back in the day for those little Cracker Jack box gyms. But we only sat 3,000, and it was similar. You know, there were certain games you had to be there 5-6 hours early just to get in Gaither Gym. And then what happened after we left school, Brian? They built this thing called the Lawson Center for 10,000 people. And the only time the Lawson Center is full is graduation.
Graduation, convocation,
you and I
homecoming concert.
Graduated at the Civic Center, which is Florida State's home arena. It's owned by the city of Tallahassee, but Florida State uses it for their home basketball arena. But and a lot of people don't know it was actually jointly owned by both Florida A&M and Florida State at the time that we were in school. It was just their logo, their basketball floor. It was branded Florida State, but we had the ability to use it also at FAMU. But Brian, them same 2,000 to 3,000 people that was going to Gaither still go to Lawson. It just looks like crap because we hit a 10,000 seat arena.
And here's something else too, Bryan and AD. My parents are alum of Alcorn, and my dad had to remind me of this too. He said, because we're so underfunded, because I asked my dad, I said, why did we build this this monstrosity of a gym? He said, you got to remember something. They came to us and said, here's some money to build X. We went for the biggest thing we could put out there. And we didn't have any thoughts about who could have pictured kids being on campus, staying in their room on a game night. Who could have pictured kids not coming to a football game on a Saturday? Like right now, we can go to a game, and Drew, you've been on our campus, and I can tell you 100% of the students that are on campus on the game day are not at a game. Now, are they older alumni, parents, and little kids at the game? Yes, we got a great feel, but you couldn't have, my dad said he couldn't have envisioned, based upon what he saw with those awesome teams and just amazing fanfare of those teams, and with Coach Whitney going to the tournament and playing against Georgetown, Larry Smith having a great game. We only lost by, I think, 5 or 6 points. You could have never pictured the fact that you said, I'm going to go to an Alcorn game and there's going to be 11 people at the game.
But you know also what happened during that time, Kelvin? For the moment you were a freshman, they trained you to do one thing on football game day, basketball game day. Get out the dorm. Y'all got to get out this dorm. They kicked you out the dorm. Now
you had to. Probably didn't have internet in the dorm.
No, but they physically made. I mean, you. I don't know what you're gonna do, but these doors gonna be locked for the next 2.5 hours. Go to the basketball game. Go to the football game. Down, whatever. Swipe your key card. Come on in. Sit out there on your phone. Pull out your iPad. Go to Starbucks. Get your half-calf latte with extra foam on the top. Whatever you do.
All right. So this whole tournament expansion thing, that where we kind of started on this conversation, again, will look like an expanded model of the first four.
Yep.
It will mean it will still be an opportunity for the MEAC and the SWAC.
We still only getting one in.
You're only getting one, and possibly now Tennessee State and OVC, who, remember, this year Tennessee State was a 15 seed. But in this same model, if this 76 team model existed this year, Tennessee State would have been playing in a play-in game to get to the 15 seed line. Just so that's essentially what you're going to have. You're going to have 16 seed matchups, 15 seed matchups, and as Drew mentioned, you will have 11 seed matchups.
Right. Opportunities for more teams to get more units. That's the better factor out of all of this.
Yeah.
Yeah. But at the end of the day, what it's still going to produce, though, fellas, keep it real. It still is producing more opportunities for their, and I say their, we know who they are, their teams to get in. So you will see 10 teams from the Big 10, 10 teams from the SEC. God forbid God knows what the ACC is doing these days. But, who knows? The Pac-12 is supposed to be coming back next year, so they'll be making some inroads.
Well, it'll stop the arguments, though, Brian. Like, for me, I'm always – I'll be truthful about it. I don't care what record one of these lower teams has. To say Texas kind of proved the point, and I just think if you're gonna try to get those other teams in, well, prove it through the gauntlet instead of me giving you Texas made it a pretty good ways.
You're talking the first four. You're talking about University of Texas on the men's side.
Yeah, I'm just saying you're right. It's gonna be probably a 9th or 10th rated Big 10, SEC, blah, blah, blah. They're going to load up, but they still got to come out of the gauntlet, though. They got to come out of that 12, out of that 24, that field of 24, that early 24 thing, which is 12 games, 24 teams.
Right. The problem to your comment, Edwin, there on the screen, we won't see them. So more of them are going in, but the same top 1 and 2 seeds, the top 8 teams in the country are who you're playing against. Let's keep that real.
Here's the thing. It's not the 1 or the 2. It's not going to change anything for them. It's going to be when the ACC, SEC, and the Big 10 and the Big 12 get 9 and 10 teams consistently in the tournament. And there's no way in hell that you can tell me your number 10 team who's probably and just by rule, if you're the 10th team in the SEC, you have a below 500 conference record. I don't think of anybody below 500 in the conference. Unless you get the automatic, should be considered for the tournament.
Exactly. That's a great question. Israel brings up. I will be curious to see, will the number of units decrease? Because
no,
it won't.
I'm gonna tell you why. Because now you have more TV inventory, Brian, by adding what we add 8 games now with under this format, 68, 4 games. Yeah, we're adding four additional games.
4 additional games, right?
Right. That's more TV inventory. More TV inventory means more advertising dollars,
So
i.e., the value of the TV contract when it comes up for renegotiation is going to go up. The value of the units will not decrease because you're cutting the pie up. You're just going to be baking you a larger pie. At that point,
Drew,
that's what this is all about. It's all about television when it's all said and done.
Right. But Texas was in the play-in game, and they were 21-15. I don't think there's nobody underneath. You could take Texas, and I hate to put this point out there because after watching the SWAC tournament, I kind of saw the writings on the wall. You could take any SEC team between 7 and 10. And you could probably throw them in a round robin with anybody that's going to be in this in that next group, and they're gonna win 9 out of 10 times.
Yep.
Yeah, it's just sheer talent. If you just watch it, if you get up close on these games and watch it, yes, the SWAC tournament was entertaining. Yes, I loved it, especially when it got to Thursday, Friday, I think. It was really, really, really nice, right? However, even a person that will remain nameless, but is one of our great friends, turned to me and said, is it me, or do they just jump up in the air and try to figure out where to throw the ball later? And he was talking about his team, and he doesn't know, and this person allegedly doesn't know very much about basketball. And I said, no, it's rather challenging for me watching this, but I know it'll be better at the end, which it turned out to be much better. But when you see it, I promise you, and I didn't think highly of St. Louis University basketball. I used them as a reference point, but I was like, as bad as I hate going to watch them play, and I have great seats, it's like watching paint dry, but it's a great experience. I know for a fact when they beat the brakes off of Bethune, there's nobody in the SWAC that can beat this team, and I don't even like watching this team play. So we have a quality of play thing that's going on there that, I just think we would behoove ourselves to get out of some of those stranglings in those first 13 games and get into some games, even if you're not going to win, even if you're not going to win them, get into a more competitive game.
Yeah, good luck.
If you can figure out the money part.
Yeah,
let's
luck.
Take this first break and come back and talk.
Do me a favor, Drew. EA keeps bringing up some interesting points. Hit up the star on a couple of his comments. I want to come back to those. Also, we need to take a break, and when we come back from the break, I still got to talk to. I am going to tell you now. I know I'm going to step in it, so I'm going to be real careful here, right? And I know a lot of people were upset with Gino for what he said and did during and after. But I got to ask one question, which nobody seems to be really talking about in that whole thing that Gino brought up. There's one thing with nobody is asking, and I don't think anybody wants to ask it, but that's okay. And just after listening to 24 hours and 48 hours of it, I'm just keep coming back to, has anybody really? I'm gonna put a pin in it and come back. Also, we got to talk about the number of HBCU basketball vacancies by my unofficial count, and I'm kind of reading a post here from another HBCU media site. There are 15 men and women head coaching positions still out on the marketplace, and I am curious about, if you notice, these folks, they drop somebody and hire somebody in like 48 hours. Like my timeline was hey, they just dismissed so-and-so. Like, and then 48 hours later, hey, here's the new coach. I'm like, damn, they moved quick. I'm just something I'm observing. And I'm like, wow.
Hey, there's 14 total.
It's now 14. Okay, my source said 15. I'm curious where we lost one at. But let's take a break and then come back real quick and talk about those two topics and more in this unscripted version of the BCSN Sports Wrap with Bryan, A.D, and Kelvin Carter. We'll be back right after these messages.
This is the Dean of the College of HBCU Sports, Kenyatta Cavill of Dr. Cavill's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington and Charles Bishop. Come mix it up in the lab where the course lecture is in session every Tuesday from 6 o'clock p.m. Central Standard Time on Facebook Live, YouTube Spreaker, or the BCSN app, as we discuss all things about the HBCU sports culture, including exploring the week that was in the sporting HBCU diaspora, as well as the upcoming week of HBCU sports. With me, the Dean, the College of HBCU Sports, on Dr. Cavill's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington and Charles Bishop. Course lecture dismissed.
It's never too early to plant the seed, to share the tradition, and instill a sense of pride in your HBCU with your little ones. HBCU Pride and Joy Children's Boutique helps you share your school spirit with a wide selection of adorable kids' apparel and accessories officially licensed from your favorite HBCU. Visit hbcupridejoy.com and follow us on all social media at HBCU Pride Joy on Facebook and Twitter.
When it comes to professional learning, teachers deserve better. From the leader in online learning, Stride brings you the Stride Professional Development Center, an on-demand library of mobile-friendly courses that gives teachers choice and flexibility, allowing them to learn anytime and anywhere. Our dynamic courses provide bite-sized learning and help educators advance their knowledge while also gaining professional development hours. It's time you take charge of your learning. Visit us today to get started.
For over 30 years, HBCU Image has been more than just an apparel store. We've been a movement, a statement, a legacy. We celebrate the pride, the purpose, and the culture that make historically black colleges and universities legendary. HBCU Image, a Kenny T's company.
All right, welcome back to the BCSN Sports Wrap. Bryan, A.D, and our good friend Kelvin Carter joining us today. Thank you guys for making sure to follow the show on all of our social media platforms there at MyBCSN1. Also, I want to encourage you, check out the podcast. If you're not familiar with the BCSN Pod Zone, it's an aggregate of all of our shows on your favorite podcast platforms, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Amazon Music even. iHeartRadio, all of those options are available if you are subscribed, download, rate, review the BCSN Pod Zone. Our show, Dr. Cavill's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab, the ONG Strike Zone, the Carlos Brown Show. We oftentimes will have shows with Charles Edmond, Brave Talk. You know, when he's talking, he has his coaches shows. We always carry those. She Say Sports with Sonia Stamps. She has a show which will run. They haven't ran one lately in a while, but you know, so all of those shows you get on the Pod Zone, BCSN Pod Zone. Do us a favor, make sure you subscribe to it. Okay. All right. I did a quick little tease. Now, we know the whole, obviously the women's Final Four, we had an epic matchup, 4 number 1 seeds. UConn's the defending champs, coming in on like a 54-game winning streak. They got to play South Carolina. All right, that was the first of 2 games. Probably should have been the second game. I don't know who did the scheduling because, my God, watching Texas and UCLA in the nightcap was like watching paint dry.
But I'm glad because that game started so late. It was the appropriate game to have and fall asleep.
Yes, it was. So a lot of us didn't really catch the pregame stuff, right? It wasn't until Gino did his conversation at the end of the third quarter with Holly Rowe. Okay. And it was, and I've been trying to find the actual quote. And hold on, I'm gonna see how I can. Let me see. I'm gonna read it as I'm watching it here on TikTok. Gino, during his conversation with Holly Rowe, gets to the point of pointing out some things, and he said, I'm not making excuses because we can't make a shot, but this is ridiculous. He was frustrated with the foul situation. He pointed out that the fouls were 6-0 against his team. This was a close ball game, right? He even brought up the fact that one of his players had her shirt torn. Come to find out, the video, there's cameras everywhere. So, of course, they find out that the video that the player actually ripped the shirt and had to change her own jersey. That came out after the fact, right? And then Gino brought up some things about that Dawn was calling, and he was referencing the South Carolina coach, that their coach was calling the referees some names that you couldn't even want to repeat, all the while he's cussing during the interview, right? He's cussing during the interview. That's how upset he was, implying that whatever it was that she was saying to the officials, right, was so out of left field, right? Exactly. He lost his composure 100%. That's how hot he was, right? About his team getting beat up. The coach is down there fussing and cussing at the referees. The referees aren't doing nothing. We're the one that said, man, this is the championship game, right? So all of this boiled over. And then you come to find out that then the post-game handshake, I love the lip readers who have kind of broken that down. That's funny. If you haven't seen it on social media, it's actually funny.
Wasn't post-game, Brian. There was still time on the clock.
Yes, exactly. Right. They thought the game was over. It turns out there was still like 2 seconds left. Gino was like, F it, I'm just going to go and shake, I don't know, shake hands or at least go by, do a walk by.
Actually, Dawn would walk down to Gino.
Right.
You knew, hey, Drew, you watched tables before. I knew it was going to turn out bad when it had to change possessions while they were in the line, because it couldn't help but be 0.2 of a second left because the shot clock didn't match. If they would have just shot the ball, I think all of this may have been avoided.
That's what somebody said. I heard somebody say that, right?
Shoots the ball, and then UConn has to get the ball, and the clock runs out. But the game was still live when they hit the handshake line.
Exactly. So all we knew is that South Carolina just beat up UConn, had the damn girl crying after missing a layup. That's how bad. I mean, UConn, who I swear, I watched UConn play Syracuse, and I thought, oh my God. Admittedly, I had not watched UConn all season, but I just kind of record watching. I watched them beat the snot out of Syracuse. And the way that team played in that first half, I said, oh, my God, this is the most aggressive playing defense. I didn't know whether that was because Syracuse sucked or UConn was just really that good. I couldn't tell because it was like UConn's last home game. But anyway, I was blown away by how well South Carolina played defensively. Really shocked. Okay, all that to say, we don't know until postgame. Gino walks off, Dawn's lip reader's like, I will beat his ass and all. I mean, literally, it was like so much drama. So we go to find out that it's all over, a pregame handshake that Gino had to wait. He says 3 minutes. He had to wait on Dawn to come do a traditional handshake, even though there's video of Dawn and them doing the cross. She comes down, they hug, all that said, right? You got all the post game, everybody. Two things for me, and I'm gonna throw it to you guys. While I agree with everybody who said Gino was out of line, Gino lost his composure. He was shook, but I also think Gino was backing up his girls. And I think it was Andrea Carter said it not only during halftime of the Texas UCLA game, but she said it in the post game. Gino, I think, strategically made this move because he was already ticked off about the whole pregame. And it was just like, you know what? I'm just going to take the attention off of the fact that my girls got their tails whooped and they played their worst game of the year. So I'm going to put this attention on me and this moment instead of having y'all talk about how South Carolina played so well against us. That's but here's the question I'm asking y'all, which I have yet to see anybody ask. Have y'all heard or seen anybody ask the question or look into Gino's in-game conversation where he mentioned Dawn Staley and her interactions with the officials? Has anybody? Now, Dawn Staley, she can be a woman of integrity, all those other things she talked about. I am not questioning how great a coach Dawn Staley is, okay? So don't get me there. But we know and we have seen coaches acting ass out there. Dan Hurley, other people, right? I'm like, why has nobody, I'm not defending. Please don't mistake me. I don't want to come off as I'm defending Gino. I'm just asking, why has nobody looked into, asked, questioned, wondered, well, how was Dawn acting towards the officials? Since everybody can read lips nowadays, was she saying things to the officials that was out of order? Was Gino right in that part? He may have been wrong in some other areas, but was he right there? I don't know, but nobody's asking. And Bryan, maybe nobody will.
Bryan.
But that's my one question I'm so curious about.
Can I cut you off, Bryan?
Please, I'm done. I'm done.
Please.
I'm calling bullshit.
Good job.
And I'm going to tell you why. Having been on the bench, near the bench, at the table for many a games, Bryan, the interaction between the coaches and the officials, and having been an official at this level, you can cuss at me all damn day, as long as you and I are the only people who can hear it, Bryan. Now, when Grandmama sitting up there in the cheap seat,
Gino must have heard it because he was complaining about it. He must have heard it.
Bryan, the people, the two bitches can hear it, and trust me, that goes on. And if you don't think that it goes on, I don't know what's worse: the coaches cussing or the players on the court cussing. And the number of times, y'all know I'm gonna tell you this. You know you're not supposed to say the N-word on the court.
Right.
If they ever enforce that, Bryan, we would be shooting technical fouls for days.
All day, huh?
All day. So I'm calling bullshit on that, Bryan.
Okay.
Man, you know, I don't know how many times I've seen coaches be like, and all these coaches know the referees by name. And if you wonder, and let me tell y'all a little secret, they don't actually really know their name. What they do before the game, I'm giving y'all some backdoor inside information. They send you a sheet with the 3 or 4 officials in the game with a headshot of the officials, so that when I say, Kelvin, can I come talk to you? I'm looking at the sheet. Okay, the dark skinned bald guy is Kelvin, and I'm calling Kelvin over here to come talk to me. Okay, the one with the hair, that's Bryan, and I'm calling Bryan. They tape the sheet right there to the end of the table so that head coach knows, and because they know, a good coach knows, if you say, hey ref, he's not coming or she's not coming. But if you say Kelvin, because people been calling you Kelvin for 30, 40, 50 years, however long you've been alive, you're going to turn around naturally and you're going to respond and you're going to come over there and have a conversation. And I'm going to get Kelvin over there Kelvin, I don't know what the F your boy Bryan over there doing, but you got to tell him, man, he effing his game up, man. And that's the type of conversations that go on the sideline. Now, is that berating the referee? No. And Kelvin, as a good referee will, he's gonna back his partner. Coach, I'll talk to him. Coach, he had a better angle than me. He's gonna give you the typical referee speak, but all the coach want to do is get that stuff off his chest. So, Bryan, once again, I call bullshit on what you just said. My personal opinion, and this goes back to the 90s when Gino and Pat Thummett used to go at it.
Yes, I remember those days.
Kim Bulkey, what's the other women's basketball coach? Used to coach at Cheney State. Why am I drawing the name?
Vivian?
Yeah, Vivian Stringer. You know, when those battles, for some reason, when Gino is getting dominated by women coaches, he's an ass.
Oh, yeah.
Might be a little sexism.
Oh, I'm sure some of it. Yeah.
You know, and you know, the ego itself, when you get your butt kicked as a coach, is already fragile.
With an undefeated team that's won 54 games in a row. Yeah.
Man, I don't care if it's undefeated or winless team. When you get your butt kicked like that, your ego is fragile. Why do you think some coaches get those technical fouls and don't have a problem sometimes getting that second one going to the house?
Right. And here's the one thing, too, from a matchup perspective, and I've coached basketball. If you watched it, a buddy of mine had called me and told me, he said, here's what you're about to see right now. You're about to see a team with a lot of rhythm and a team that has to dance by the numbers or paint within the lines. UConn is a team that has to paint within the lines. Everything has to be directly right. Everything has to be on the movement. And what happened was they ran into a South Carolina team that was really the worst case scenario. They can guard you. They can defend you. They can disrupt everything you got. They put Raven Johnson on their biggest player, got him moved around, got him discombobulated, and then they ran off with it. And then the other part, too, and I've heard this from – they won't say this out loud now because they're really promoting the women's game. A couple of my buddies said, if Gino's so big and bad, why wouldn't he have taken the men's job when it was open and pulled the same thing off with the men's team? Because it feels like he's being a bully. Because he is, to be honest with you, his track record, I think, 25 Final Fours. He's been the best in the game that the women's game has ever seen in terms of the coaching.
Well, obviously he had – look, the reason he couldn't – no matter what he did, he had already built a powerhouse in the women's game. Mm-hmm. Going to the men, trying to do that for the men's program, 2 separate games. And it would have just it could have never worked. I'm not saying that it couldn't have worked. I'm saying there are people that watch this from the male-female perspective. I got a lot of buddies who be like, man, Carter, come on, man, it's damn near unfair. You already know how women respond to men, especially when it comes to coaching. Like my part is he coaches a good game. He recruits his tail off. He's had 3 or 4 girls from St. Louis, Nafisa Collier, WNBA, blah, 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 from St. Louis, went to UConn. There's no doubt the blueprint is there. And the wheels almost fell off about, I think it was either 3 or 4 years ago when he went in with only like 6 players. And it was like this woe is me because Don is really coming on the uptick. And now he got it back together. Yes. So he done figured out the secret sauce because the wheels he was teetering like, I might want to jump out the boat, but then he figured something out. You know, the NIL kicked in. It gets a little bit, it gets a little greater later. But I think there were a lot of people trying to make a lot of different gestures towards it. I just think this is one pathetic male that was frustrated by getting his butt handed to him by a female coach. And it didn't help that she was black.
I was gonna bring that in.
It didn't help that she was black.
It sure as hell didn't help. Didn't help at all.
But Pat Summitt didn't take those. Pat Summitt got rid of him off the schedule. She's like, man, I'm not dealing with this foolishness. We guess what?
Which was a sad day for the game of women's basketball when the top two teams at that point in time refused to play each other because of the coaching differences that they
they saw each other in the tournament.
Well, and that happened this year because I don't think UConn and South Carolina played each other in the regular season this year. And I don't expect it to come back unless somebody is offering each team like a big bag of money. I don't see it happening. It'll end up just like, the whole thing with Tennessee and UConn. So, again, not excusing what Gino did. Gino was wrong, dead wrong. And you had the entire women's college basketball game on his ass for what he did. And he even – now, I don't think he put that apology out there personally, but Gino –
the marketing department did it, Brian.
The marketing did because Gino probably told them, they were probably like, Gino, we got to put an apology. Gino said, you can apologize to anybody you want to apologize to, but I'm not apologizing to her. And they're like, Gino, say her name. Gino like, nope, I ain't saying her name. So
before we move on, Brian, who had the worst weekend, Gino or Trick Daddy?
Woo!
Gino,
let's move on.
Gino, hold on. I got some backstory info on the Trick Daddy thing because that happened right here in Orlando, right? Let me just say this. Trick Daddy made the biggest mistake that you can make as an artist or anybody about to perform. You got to read the contract. My sources tell me that, again, a lot of people didn't know that there were other South Florida artists that performed at this AKA regional convention. The same one that Trick Daddy was
headliner,
at.
Though.
Right. And it was after hours. It was late night. But they all performed radio edits of their songs. Trick Daddy must have thought it just because it was after midnight that it meant I can give you the dirty version. And some of the older folk, some of them were still in the building with their grandnieces and grandchildren. And it was like, no, you weren't supposed to do Jump on the D. You weren't supposed to do that song. You were supposed to do the radio edit of some of these other songs. Trick Daddy may love the kids, but Trick Daddy don't read his contract. And so Trick Daddy also made a mistake of putting the lady he put on blast. Come to find out, she's an attorney. Now you done put the woman's name out there and you done blasphemed her. Boy, look, whatever Trick Daddy's like, I want the other half of my money. The other half of your money might be tied up in your legal fees. So Trick Daddy, it's too late to pull stuff off the internet because it's gone viral. But look, what exactly? I don't know what radio. That's probably right. Trick Daddy, that's probably what he's saying. He's like, I don't have radio edits.
Trick love the kids. That's about the only one.
That's the only one. Well, that's what he should have played. Trick love the kids. I don't know, but you can't play Jump on the D in a room full of. I can't believe he did that. But anyway, that's just you. That's the backstory from what I'm hearing is that he has gone after not only he's put that lady out there, but also you put an attorney. She's an attorney. I'm like, bruh. So who had the worst day? Gino is probably like, whoo, thank God Trick Daddy came along because otherwise I'd be catching more hell right now.
But that's only in our community. In the other community.
Well, look, okay, so again, the whole thing with Trick Daddy being a part of so from what I'm told is the two of the South Florida chapters were, again, this is a regional thing going on in Orlando. Two of the South Florida chapters were responsible for putting the artists together. And this event was you had Luke, JT Money, Slick Rick, all performed.
If Luke could do clean, Trick could do clean.
Thank you. All of this was, they had reggaeton, Miami bass, it was supposed to be it was supposed to be an after party kind of thing, right? But you still get, anyway, you got to read the room sometimes, right, fellas? You gotta Jock says, you said, I'm just saying,
explain it, brother.
In the contract, you were supposed to do the reading. Somebody must have thought that, well, if I can get Trick Daddy out there, Trick Daddy, you got to play, you got to do the non. I don't know if there was a playlist, because it's all, look, trust me, you don't think these ladies have this all in writing? They probably have in writing, you can perform these songs and you have to do the radio edits of these songs. Oh, Doc, that's a low blow. Doc's being messy. I'm not the one. I'm just reading what I'm being told. Yeah, so that's a great question. Who what's the show that does the donkey of the day or so? Who you think's gonna get that? Is it gonna be Gino or is it gonna be Trick Daddy? Somebody on Monday is gonna get the donkey of the day. I'd be curious to see who gets that. But I would say Trick Daddy had the worst weekend, because all hell's about to come rain down on him from a legal perspective, and I don't think that's where you want to be. But anyway, good stuff. Okay, let's talk about some of these head coaching positions that are still open currently. Now, again, I'm reading off a list of schools here, so that there may be, if I come across something that's inaccurate, y'all jump in and tell me here. Let's go from, and I'll tell you whether it's a men or a women's. We've got Alabama State men's position.
Correct.
Allen University women. Bethune-Cookman women just filled their position. So this was on the list that I have, so that may be why it's now down to 14. They just filled the position with a former player who played there from 07 to 12. If one of you guys got the name, I know Bethune-Cookman has hired a women's coach. Bowie State men.
Yep.
Edward Waters men. I didn't know Edward Waters men was who was the previous coach there, Drew?
Todd Day was the interim, so
okay.
I don't know if that's still the reflection of him being an interim or they're actually looking at replacing, because Cabril Huff started the season as the head coach at Edward Waters, and then Todd Day was brought in as the interim after about 2-3 games, and then
I missed the news. Where did Huff go? I missed that.
Huff was let go in November, right before the conference season started.
Oh,
yeah, he started. He actually coached 3 games, and then they named Todd Day the interim, and Todd Day and Edward Waters just competed in the CBIT, if I do recall.
Okay. Florida Memorial men. That's NAIA Florida Memorial. Jackson State men, even though they named an interim coach. So again, we're just talking full-time, non-interim positions here. Kentucky State men. Lane College men. Lincoln, PA women. Mississippi Valley State men. North Carolina Central women. Shaw University, both men and women's programs. Look, last week we got on here and we thought we broke some news with Texas Southern. I don't know if I can include Texas Southern on this list or not. We'll just put a question mark next to Texas Southern. And then Winston-Salem State men.
Demetria Frank is the coach at
Bethune-Cookman. Demetria Frank, right.
She played under Vanessa Blair Lewis at Bethune.
Yeah,
and was on her staff.
And Trey Johnson, Trey is going to do a great job at Jackson State, the interim. And they're going to take that tag off almost ASAP, because it aligns with what A.D. Robinson wants to do there. He's homegrown talent.
That's think. Right here.
And here's something that kind of bothered me about the whole. They were talking about records, right? Well, Mo, I think, was 48-25 in conference or something of that nature.
Second best conference record, I think, over the past 4 years.
People kept talking about the record being bad. I said, dude, you're starting off 1-11 and 0-12 every season because they go out and say you have to earn or get $1.6 million or 1.2, whatever it is. Every coach goes through the same thing. And when you get into conference, you do your job. Now, do I think if I had my thoughts around watching Jackson play, I would truly feel like once in a lifetime opportunity to be with your son on a collegiate staff, making 3 times as much money, blah, 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 all that good stuff. But on the second half, I think he set Trey up for a win. The challenge is everybody jumped in the portal. You know, and that's one of those pieces where it's just like, but now Trey's got to beat the bushes. Luckily, he's in a base around that Mississippi area where he's got some he's got some talent that he could pull in there, but he's going to really have to, you know, get after it and see what he can get in to close that gap really quick.
Drew and I called this last week, didn't we, Drew? We talked about it, and we
said it was a setup.
We connected the dots before anybody else the next day because we were like, well, if the son left and all these other things, it was like, you know. But I will say this, I pop into other shows.
You know, that's the second kid though. It's not that the son left. He
decommitted. I'm sorry. Let me say it right. When we were talking on the show last week, we were mentioning about the fact that the son had decommitted back in December, and also there were players that had jumped in the portal. And as Drew and I were talking, we were like, "Hey, Drew, you know, we were bringing up the guy DeJuan Wagner back in the day. It just so happened DeJuan Wagner, Louisville, his dad ends up becoming the assistant coach, right? Who was also a former NBA player, right?
Yeah.
So we kind of were relating it to that story and was like, will Mo Williams be next? And 24 hours later, the news starts breaking out. But I enjoyed listening to, and again, when things like that happen, you got to go listen to where the people are most knowledgeable. I popped over to the Ken Clark's show and Tiger Talk and the 1400 Club, and hey, they are excited about the future, and they are excited about that there is somebody who, as you mentioned, the interim coach right now has an opportunity because, like you mentioned, there seems to be some alignment with what Ashley Robinson wants. And according to Ken, it kind of, with Mo leaving, it kind of, his words was something, I'm paraphrasing here, that it sort of takes away what was the word he used? It takes away any need to have to fire a friend or have to, you know what I'm saying? Because if 4 years, I mean, look, if Mo Williams wins that championship 2 years ago and they beat Alabama State, in the SWAC championship game, today no one's questioning his record, Kelvin. Nobody's questioning his record up there, right? It's like, hey, he won a SWAC championship, and everything, and he had a good team, and then he came back, he had 2 players of the year. So, I mean, think about what he did in 4 years. You had 2 players of the years. You had a SWAC championship game berth. You mentioned, which other people have mentioned, the second best record over the past 4 years.
Damn right.
I mean,
well, here's
and there's only
probably about 2 other coaches who've done any better, and one of them is at Texas Southern. So
and be real, if Deshaun Rufford doesn't get hurt in the SWAC tournament, there's a different outcome this year also. Well, prior to the SWAC tournament.
I'll continue to say this. Edwin Moore said you have to understand, since Prime, JSU has a certain fan base that felt Mo was going to have JSU competing with the SEC and the likes of Gonzaga. Here's a reality check. First of all, I do believe that Jackson State, probably out of all the spaces, save for Southern Baton Rouge and one of the other markets, in terms of having the accessibility to talent via the JUCO rank and via the high school rank, I think they have the best pot of gold to kind of dig in. And that's what I think Trey is about to dig into. Now you're about to see what's going to happen, because it's a 6'10" kid from Canton that's at Mississippi State that just jumped in the portal. He averaged 25 minutes a game at Mississippi State and only averaged 3.1 points. It's safe to say you put the same kid out of Canton at Jackson State on the floor with the Tigers, he's going to have a different type of outcome and impact.
He's going to average a double-double.
Yeah, he's going to have a different type of impact. And I think Trey's going to be able to get some of that. But I do think that if out of all the SWAC schools, Mo got them back into a scenario of they want to be better than normal. And I think there's none of us about any of our schools, from FAMU to Alcorn to Southern to UAPB. You want the best for your school, and I think there's a situation where I think Trey is going to do a great job. And I'm with the last person that just said, in nobody's warped mind were you going to compete with the SEC. You're not spending that type of money. It's just not going to happen.
Let me give you guys some numbers. Right now, there are in the portal. You mentioned the portal, Kelvin. Men's basketball. There are over 1,650 players who will hit the portal on Tuesday. Let me say
now,
that.
Again, you have to clarify. You have to hold on, Drew. Hold on. Clarify for people. The portal is not open
until Tuesday.
Right. So these numbers that you're giving are what?
That have publicly stated that they are entering the portal.
Okay. Thank you.
They could have turned in their paperwork, but nothing goes live until Tuesday. Now, of that, 526 of those are D1 players. 1,030 Division II men's basketball players will be entering the portal. And on the women's side, 630 D1 women have entered the portal. So 520 D1 men, 630 D1 women have entered the portal. Blue Jacket asked D2, according to and I am getting this. These are different public trackers that are out there. 1,030 men's D2 men have entered the portal.
And here's a conversation that we had a lot of, Brian, while we were at the SWAC tournament, and I'm sure some of the people that are chiming in could probably confirm some of this information. The SWAC basketball is, in particularly certain programs, you're going to really have to take a look at who you're recruiting. All right. If you have a right base, you're going to have to come to a conclusion like your player of the year for Jackson State. He's in the portal.
They're gone.
You're gonna have to come to a realization that if you get a kid that's going to perform at the level that the kid at Jackson State performed at, somebody's going to offer him something, right, that we're not going to be able to compete with. But that doesn't mean that you can't keep coming right behind it and getting that same player, with the understanding that the max I might get out of a kid is 2 years, especially a high flyer. Jackson right now has a kid over there at Callaway High School. Guaranteed, if Jackson State doesn't offer him, I would be a Ward kid, same school as Malik Newman that went to Kansas. Is a kid they have enough around Jackson. I can tell you this to really, really put some fire stuff together in the SWAC. And I'm only saying that because of where they're located. Alcorn's challenge is location, location, location. Although they have a hell of a recruiter and a hell of a coach down there with the guy that came in from Florida State, he has his own connectivity via the fact that he came out of FSU. But the person that has the greatest advantage in recruiting in the SWAC, and I think Reggie Theus, because of cachet and who he is and what he's able to kind of put together. But I think all of the SWAC is going to have to take a real strong look at whatever you think your best program is. Take a strong look at Valley.
Yeah.
Right. Take a look at them in terms of how can I raise this floor up? I know what the ceiling can be, but how can we the floor can't be Sports Illustrated. We ride around getting our head beat in for 3.5, 4 years just for the sake of a check, and then we go. That can't be our story. I like the story when Steve Rogers, Al Ford, and Bobby Fields and Lindsey Hunter were top 5 scorers in the nation. You know what I'm saying? Like, we gotta have something.
That's when we was in school though, so that's a different era.
Yeah, no,
Kelvin, it's not like, look, I think in your assessment, and anyone who's listening, it would see someone might misinterpret and say like the 11 other SWAC members are all getting together and in a meeting looking at Valley like, man, what are y'all doing? Are y'all gonna get y'all stuff together?
No, they not. Because as long as Valley sucks, that's a win for us,
Brian. But guess what though? I'm not saying that they are in a room like that. But after I was at the SWAC tournament and watched all of the schools, even when you win the league, it's something to be said when you get down into a league and you're like, man, the 5th, 6th, and 7th team was they were really tough. When your floor is that floor,
Valley should turn to everybody in the conference. If that mythical meeting happened, Valley should turn to everybody in the conference and say, y'all donate $250,000 into our program, and we'll be able to do something.
Well, what I'm getting at is, I don't think any of them. I think the financial mechanisms behind it is a very good challenge. But again, I'll tell you this, and Drew just told me this. I didn't know this, that he had family from Itabena, right? Drew?
No, Cleveland.
Somewhere right around the area.
Right in that area.
My point is,
Mount Bayou.
I could run you down there to the Delta and find you 13, 14 guys. They're going to have to get a different type of eye on talent and what can be developed and what can put out a product. The Mississippi Delta is ripe with good basketball players. The Mississippi JUCO system has great players that are often overlooked. I'm just saying.
Can I stop? I got to cut you off, Kelvin.
Mm-hmm.
Here's the problem with the Mississippi JUCO system. The Mississippi JUCO system is so good that it's a come down, and please don't beat me up for saying this, everybody. It's a come down once you've gone from the Mississippi JUCO to come back to some of our institutions such as Alcorn and Valley, because a lot of your good D1 programs, basketball and football, will stash a player in the Mississippi JUCO system because the competition level is so doggone good, and then they bring them back up to that level. What do you think Cam Newton played football at when he got kicked out of Florida?
Specifically, Drew, what is it that they possess? And Kelvin, you're an Alcorn alum. You follow and you know the inner working. What is it specifically? Is it that the JUCOs have that make going to an Alcorn or Mississippi Valley a step down?
I can break it down.
I want to hear from. Let me hear from you. You asked the question, Drew, which is great. Let's talk. Let me hear from somebody who knows. He's there.
I'll give you this, right? So, in Mississippi, and they can chime in on the chat. In Mississippi, the HBCUs, Valley, Jackson State, Alcorn, get nothing from the Mississippi State Legislature in terms of appropriation funding, not $1, not one dime, and they're always going to withhold, right? In Mississippi, the JUCO systems are funded in almost the same mechanism as a school district. So just prior to within the last 10 years, if you lived in East Mississippi, you went to your JUCO that you went to was East Mississippi Community College, which was famously on the TV show Last Chance U. So up until now, you would have to get a waiver to go outside of your district. That's where this funding kicks in. Also, too, these institutions are also workforce innovation hubs for the entire state. So a lot of the money, the federal funding that they get, surpasses us because it's way more than just sports at these JUCOs. So they're getting, now I venture to say this, their funding that they get in the JUCO system outpaces Alcorn and Jackson State especially. So when you can go to a middle of the road when like East Central Community College, East Mississippi, Jones County Community College, the facilities are knockout, but they're also funded in a way in their community base I could take you to a game at East Mississippi Community College on a Thursday night, and you would think damn near you at an HBCU game with 4 HBCUs getting ready to play at one time. It's nothing short of amazing because of the money and because of what they do for those kids moving forward.
So is there nothing that Alcorn State or Mississippi Valley State can do to I don't know if I'm saying this correctly, without being a JUCO, is there anything they can do to take to get any of that money or get any of those resources?
No. It's like the difference between K-12 funding and higher ed funding. It's funded totally different. Like the legislature, there's no argument, because you got to remember, at every JUCO campus, all of the 13 pathways, the trades, the nursing, the pre-apprenticeship programs, all of those things are housed inside of those boxes. They become the pseudo, if I'm not going anywhere else, I'm guaranteed I'm about to go. I'm about to go right into this JUCO and get this. Now, here's the other part too, though. They often get that last chance. Like every good football player from my high school in Meridian, Mississippi, hands down, if they were not going to Alcorn, Jackson State, Mississippi Valley, or weren't getting recruited, they were going to end up at Scuba. Here's the worst part about this, Brian. I wondered how they ended up going to HBCUs, but as soon as they went to Scuba, they all ended up at either University of Memphis, Alabama, Mississippi State, Ole Miss. Hines County Community College over in Jackson used to be the holdover for the Alabama Crimson Tide. It used to be the holdover. Hey, man, I need you to go over there, chill out. It's going to be good ball. And also, too, it's Thursday night, Friday night, Saturday night. Someone says free grades. Well, you put I'm a believer in this. Meridian Community College and East Mississippi Community College, their first 2 years of what's called the General College. Drew, you know this. I venture to say the General College, which is comp and all that stuff that we take in those first 2 years, is no more harder or less rigorous than if you went to any of our HBCUs. I mean, I would. That's all I'm getting at. I don't really, but I do know that JSU at one point probably had more JUCO recruits on their roster, and they were some head busters, partner. They played no games with the JUCO transfers in Jackson prior to this. You know, the advent of Dion coming and all the
coach.
runoff.
I know Coach Comedy was famous for it because he did it when he was at Tuskegee.
Hey man, they go hard, Brian. They go hard, partner. But now,
I would love.
But here's the other part, though, Brian. Here's the caveat. If you just remember the time when we had props, you hadn't heard of a Prop 48. You hadn't heard of a non-qualifier. So it used to be you'd end up in these places due to some type of academic challenge. But when is the last time, barring a super high academic institution, Drew, that you heard a kid say, I got to go to JUCO because I don't have grades?
That's true.
That just doesn't happen anymore. So now you got a different type of client in that JUCO space. And so now you got, but I'm going to tell you something. That Mississippi JUCO action on a Thursday night party, you about to see some good ball. you about to see some ball that's going to, and then you're going to go see your Friday, and then you're going to go to Saturday to your SWAC game. So you do have some things that, they got rid of the prop, but they also, like when they waive test scores, now you don't have as many kids going. But now what you will find, though, is you will find growth and development in the JUCO that if you can keep your eyes on it, you can score it. You can get it.
I love the fact that, because again, I know, let's just say I've become more educated and aware of the dynamics in Mississippi over the course of the last couple of years. And I still think 75% of most HBCU fans, sports fans, are unaware because it is so different than everywhere else. And I think it really is a dynamic that I think somebody is missing an opportunity, and I'm just putting it out there. I'm not trying to executive produce it or direct it, but somebody's missing an opportunity on just doing something on a weekly basis of letting people know what the system is so that we can understand it. And then when we look at and complain about a Valley, we're doing it. We're maybe not even doing it anymore because we are a little more sympathetic, empathetic, understanding of the situation they're in. And then all that to be said, eventually somebody will get and ask the question, well, how do you change it? I mean, but you got to understand it first before you can change it.
Yeah. Let me throw something out there and pay attention to this. Governor Kay Ivey in Alabama has legislation, they present her with legislation for Alabama to add football to their junior colleges.
Mm-hmm.
Couple of questions come to mind with that. A, how does this affect Mississippi? Not with the in-states, but with some of those kids who were coming from out of state to play junior college ball in Mississippi, because your in-state's still going to be your in-states.
And you only get 4, Drew.
What's that?
You like in basketball, you only get 4 out of states. In football, it's a percentage.
In Mississippi.
Because it's your right. It's your JUCO in Mississippi is like your school district. So when you graduate, you got a place that you can go with your Pell, with your money. Yes.
All right. But, that's one thing. Number 2, assuming Alabama comes with football at the junior college level, how does this affect your smaller schools? Not just HBCUs, but your smaller schools in general. Yes, I am talking about your Tuskegees, your Miles, your Albany States. Your Alabama States and your Alabama A&M. But I'm also talking about your Sanfords and even down to some places like UAB and some of the other programs, North Alabama, Jacksonville State. How is this going to affect them? The fact that you have junior college football in the state of Alabama, and the fact that, and I'm waiting on NCAA to make this official, if your junior college years do not count against your NCAA clock, how is that going to affect the quality of football in that state? And speaking of NCAA clock, which we'll get into on another podcast, may lead this for Dr. Cavill. Y'all saw what the proposal that that's coming out of Washington with the 5 years and everything else related to the executive order that's supposedly going to be issued. So, but we'll talk about that on another show. No, there's not junior college football in Alabama right now, Edwin.
Well, you got to understand something too, though, Drew. One of the things that we suffer from, even in the smaller spaces, even in the SWAC, is the lack of the ability to develop. So if you think about it, the reason why that JUCO rank in Mississippi is so strong is that, hey, I might not be really good, big enough, fast enough, strong enough to jump into the SWAC or jump into Delta State or jump into Mississippi College or jump into these arenas, but I can continue on playing and grow and develop in a strong system. You got to look at it more of an expansion of a pie instead of a contraction of a pie. So those are some of the things where if you kind of think about it, like they're adding it because Mississippi is very protective of those slots. That's the reason why, like in basketball, you only got 4 out-of-state slots. You just can't come in here at Hinds County Community College and recruit. They just gave up the boundaries. You used to have to get a waiver. If you watch Last Chance U, he owned you if you went to school in Lauderdale County and in the Eastern Mississippi box.
What year was that show?
It ran for probably about 8 years ago, maybe 10 now. But then it transitioned to another JUCO in Mississippi. Like, dude, when I tell you the number of D1s that came out of there, the ones that came back and went out, and again, this is prior to the portal and the amount of bounce around you could do now within institutions. So now it'd be interesting for me now to see what what the JUCO ranks look like in terms of that prep and how well you're linked to them. Alcorn likes JUCO players too now. Don't get me wrong.
The big thing with the JUCOs though is going to be because they still have not remedied I believe it's the Pablo case, the Vanderbilt quarterback. They still have not gave the final remedy on that one as to whether your junior college years count against your NCAA clock.
Yeah.
That's going to be the biggest. That's going to be the biggest thing that comes out right now. Because if you go there, we all know the prep school story. Nobody wants to F with prep schools and everything. So if you can go, a kid can go from 18 to 20 and go to JUCO and still have your 4, possibly 5 years to play at the NC2A level, it's going to change college sports once again.
Wasn't the Trinidad Chambliss case under that?
No, it was under the Ferris.
It was a different case.
Oh, Jesus.
It's a medical.
Because he played D2.
Yeah. Okay.
But it was over a medical red shirt that he was trying to allege, in what I read, alleging that he didn't get the proper treatment and the proper diagnosis, and that therefore all of that should be deemed as he gets another year.
Yeah.
I did want to make mention we got into talking about college basketball coaching positions. Also in the SWAC last week, we got word that Johnny Jones was possibly going to be joining Will Wade at LSU, right? Well, and then you started seeing reports come out that Jones was going to join the staff. And then on Tuesday, Kyle Mosley, HBCU Legends, has the article where he actually talked to Johnny Jones. And the title says, Johnny Jones says, quote, "Nothing is concrete, confirms the LSU discussions. Texas Southern's head coach pushed back on early resignation reports as quote unquote bogus and disappointing, but acknowledged he is in discussion with new LSU head coach Will Wade." I had read in some posts that there was a 7-day period for the job to be posted before he could actually, and I don't know if it was the Louisiana case or the Kentucky case, because that even some reports about Mo Williams in Kentucky was kind of, people were questioning, is this really going to happen? So I have not heard or seen anything new regarding the Johnny Jones situation. I don't know, have you, Drew, or Kelvin seen or heard anything new about that situation?
Question, Brian, on this, and it could be for the group as well as the chat. Seeing what we're seeing with these coaches transitioning out, right? Wouldn't it be a little bit smarter to look at your younger talent, maybe start looking at tapping some of these high level high school coaches that would want an opportunity to coach, that would have the energy to deal with the nuances of coming into an HBCU, as opposed, like these hires, I felt like I said, when I saw all of them leaving, with the exception of the one, it made sense that Matlock went back with Penny.
Relationships.
Penny about to get pushed off the ledge if it don't come back straight, and he hadn't had a bad go of it. It's just been rocky for him. He just hadn't been able to handle it. Mo going to Kentucky, who blames him? I just think that I think maybe we need to really, really look and reassess how we're picking our coaches, and maybe go with a youth movement and surround them with some decent people, because these guys jumping ship, and it's only going to be a continual cycle.
Here's the problem, Kelvin.
Okay.
I need you to put your alumni hat on right now.
Uh-oh.
You got a coaching opening. Football, basketball. Hell, baseball. What's the first thing you want as an alum? I want an experienced coach. I want somebody who's a proven winner. I want somebody who can win on this level. Hell, Kelvin, when somebody tries to hire a young NAIA coach, a lot of these places go crazy, Brian. I mean, and Kelvin. A lot of these coaches. So if I can't even hire an NAIA coach without the pushback, Kelvin, the hell you gonna think if I'm hiring some 35-year-old high school coach?
Hey,
who might have had a good career somewhere playing ball, and he might even be a good high school coach. But this is a totally different game. And here's the thing, Kelvin. Coaching basketball today, 2026, is not about the X's and the O's.
That's my point.
It is about being a business manager, a manager of people. And unless you have a basketball general manager, all that stuff is going to fall on you. Be it you 35 or 55.
You got to be able to afford a basketball manager.
Most of your alum are going to want that 40 to 50-year-old. He's young enough to understand this youth movement, but he's experienced enough to be able to get me over the hump and to get me that SWAC championship or BAC championship or SIC championship or whatever it is.
So let me ask you a question. Nate Oates is all. This is all I'm saying. He don't have to be a young high school coach. Nate Oates went 222-52 at Romulus High School before getting his first college job at Buffalo. Comes in behind Danny Ferry at Buffalo and lands at Bama. All I'm saying is they took a math teacher that was selling popcorn and snacks to get his team uniform at a high school. Left and went to Buffalo. I'm saying if you get the searching out there, there are some high school you got to think about it like this in reverse. There's a couple of JUCO coaches and a high school coach in Mississippi that right now should have a SWAC job, and at a minimum, they should be on somebody's staff because guess what they got to tie to? They got to tie to the young people, the community, and the recruits. And guess what? It'll never be about the X's and O's. It'll always be about the Jims and Joes. So at the end of the day, you're gonna have all these other pieces around it. I'm just saying, based upon what we see around this coaching carousel, it's a coach that's in the SWAC that's probably coached at 5 schools. I don't think he's in the SWAC now, but we talked about this carousel that they let these guys ride on. Oh, well, I jumped off Southern, now I'm at A&M. I jumped off A&M, now I'm the Prairie View. Now I'm gonna back on down here to do this. I'm just saying, I do think we don't get outside of our comfort zone and look at, especially with basketball in a 12, 15-man roster, I think you're going to need some energy to coach at Valley. Can't no old person do nothing with that.
When the last coach young, I saw a picture of the last coach. He was young.
Huh?
The last coach at Valley, wasn't he young? I just saw a picture of him.
Man, come on, stop, B.
I'm sorry. Hold on. What's your point, Drew? And then I'm going to follow up after you.
Hold on. Two problems, Kelvin. Number one, and I hate to say this.
I might have the same problems here that Drew's about to pull out. Go ahead.
These young coaches, and this kind of goes to Zach's point, you get stereotyped, you get pigeonholed. And that's not young coaches in general. You get pigeonholed at coaching at a particular level.
Right.
And unless somebody gives you an opportunity to at least be an assistant at the college level, they're not going to do it. It's going to be tough. But unless you're like a local legend or something like that. But here's the thing, Kelvin. How many high school coaches, especially if you have a family, are going to be able to afford to go to a college level as an assistant on the salary that a lot of our assistants make, let alone what some of our heads make? When you know, Kelvin, you got all your certifications and everything else as a teacher, you can make more money in that school system than you can a lot of times as definitely as an assistant coach, but sometimes even as a head coach of some of our institutions.
Okay, Drew, let's back this back. I'll give you a prime example. In most cases, and I coach high school basketball now for the past 27 years, It's only when you get south do you get a big bag, if you not a bag, but your supplement, and they kind of integrate you into the system. I am a certified teacher with my doctoral degree, so I've been entrenched into the educational space. But now you have a lot of guys out there like Nate Oates. I'll give you a prime example. Tony Irons was the head coach, and he's in St. Louis, Missouri at Vashon High School, number 5 ranked high school in the state of Missouri, won state championship 9 out of 10 times going. He then transitions over to Mineral Area Community College, and he ought to be on, and now he just won his region. He is a guy that went from high school, where he was the PE teacher, basketball coach, to the JUCO level, that should be looked at he would be great at an HBCU, and the salary of an HBCU basketball coach is better. And I know these numbers because I'm intimate with them. In certain states, is way better than me teaching and coaching, because in a state like Missouri, you only get a stipend, and you have to more than likely to
you got to be in the classroom to make some money.
Not the classroom. You almost got to take an administrative job and coach, which they don't like to have you in both positions. So I'm just saying, somebody in the chat made mention of the guy down at Langston. That's an interesting piece because he's been down there clowning.
Yeah, but he's making more at Langston than a lot of our coaches. Definitely a lot of the coaches on the D2 level, and I would almost guarantee you more than some of our coaches on the D1 level.
Dr. Cavill says, what AD is going to take that risk and get fired by the AD? And look at the results they already getting.
That point that he just brought up.
That part.
Now, the difference about, you brought up Nate Oates, went to Buffalo. How many HBC, and my good friend Marcus Green on our show always talks about our universities being stepping stones onto the next level. But with that said, how many boards, I mean, it's not just the AD, but it's the president and the boards, right, who have to approve the contracts. How many of them are realistic with themselves and view themselves as a mid-major like Buffalo? No, they see themselves as something. Kelvin, we went through it just 2 years ago at Florida A&M. We don't see ourselves as what we really are. We think we are one thing, but we don't, because we don't invest in athletics to be more than what we are. So when you are afraid to jump out there and hire a winning, notice I said winning, like that record that you mentioned of Nate Oates, that's probably over 75% of his games is a win. We did the math on Chris Wright last week, Drew. What was it, in the 80%?
Closer to 90.
Well, I don't know if it was 90, but
it was close to.
It's close to
85. Okay, the man's won 85% of his games over the last 5 years, been to 3 national title games. That is, and he has, when you have to, I don't care if you're at NAIA, but you are running a program. Now, the idea is essentially, if I'm successfully running a program at the NAIA level, if I come to a Division I, I would tend to think I have a few, not a whole lot, maybe a few more resources. I have a few more help and support staff, blah, 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 right? So if I'm already being successful at this NAIA level or Division II, or even if it's a high-level high school for 10 years and I've gone to the state championship 10 years in a row and maybe won 6 or 7 titles out of those 10 years, doggone, that's pretty good. That should get me at least an interview in the conversation. But the problem is you have board members who think they are something different.
They're not HR. They're board members. They're not HR.
Yeah, but they're the ones who have to approve the contract. So they look past the fact that, well, I see this bright young coach who's on a high trajectory, but no, let me go hire a guy who has schlepped around at 3 or 4 other Division I programs and has less than a 500 winning record. Sure, he's been an assistant coach on some big staffs, because we can at least say in our press release, former coach at this program and that program. So it's the short-sightedness of not the athletic administrator, it's his boss or her boss.
I understand.
They are the obstacle that you have to jump over. And unfortunately, if there's not a real good I hear this word used a lot, top-down symmetry. If your president, AD, and board, or maybe your chief decision makers on the board, are all in alignment about what we are, what we can be, and what we want to be. If they are not all in alignment, God bless you. Good luck.
Well, let me ask you this, though, Brian. Like the Dusty May piece that the person put in the chat, like all I'm saying is I'm around high-level basketball all day and all summer. You can jump into and one of the things that one candidate pool to be really looked into is USA basketball. There's a ton of great African-American coaches, black coaches, young coaches. I just think when I get to looking at especially once you got your old school guys out of the way, talking to Coach Petway was amazing. Rest in peace, Coach David Whitney from Alcorn. When you got away from somebody and Andy Stockton and these guys, I think now that you're in this zone, if you want something at these HBCUs now, and based upon the product that I saw at the SWAC tournament, you better go after some guys that's somewhere in between. All right, you want somebody older, you need to go and look at, because you're going to continue to have players that leave because they develop and get better, and you want somebody that's going to, that's what you are. You are a you are a development program. You are one of two things. You are either a development, and I think there's been a couple of coaches who have embraced that. I want to say recent comments, maybe by I don't want to put quotes on names, but there are a couple of coaches who get it. We are what we are. I'm not worried about guys jumping in the portal and leaving, because hopefully if they jump in the portal and they go up, well, they're going to say, where he come from? Where did he get developed at? Oh, he got developed at this HBCU, that program, that coaching staff. Some other kid who maybe didn't play a lot will now see the opportunity at HBCU X and say, hey, you know what? That guy came from Division II to Division I. Now he's at a high major in 3 seasons. Well, I'm not playing a lot of time, and I came out of high school and spent a year or 2 on the bench. Let me go down to the HBCU for a year. And then, because that program has a history, let me see what I do here in this experience and then go forward. So I think there has to be a high level of a reality to what we are. And then the athletic administrator, the head coach, the president, they've all got to be in that room, in that meeting, and they got to have a real frank and honest conversations about what we are, what we can be, and what we want to be. Well, Edwin made a comment about they don't have a proven track record of recruiting. You got to understand the circuit now is so plugged in. For instance, the guy that I was telling you about that left high school, went to JUCO, he's the coach of the Bradley Beal Elite, which is one of the top EYBL Nike teams in the country. So all he does is sits there and coaches, and I don't know how this isn't against the rules, but he sits there and he coaches kids that he's going to probably recruit and or pass on, and he's on the circuit all summer having conversations. I'm saying it takes a staff to run this. And they also said that that was the South Carolina State head coach, Eric Martin, that made that statement.
Yeah,
I just have a genuine belief.
He's not the only one. There have been a couple that have made similar statements. But
you're going to have – somebody's going to have to take on the mantra of, I'm fine with you leaving because I'm going to get something else coming. But I think this is also going to take someone with some youth and some energy about them, and maybe with not as many attachments. Like Drew said, well, who's going to give up this money if you got a family, blah, blah, blah. I think you just got to go on a little bit deeper search and get you some people on that staff that are all hungry with a goal in mind. Maybe you get a staff that, hey, man, we only going to be here for 4 years. If we can get you to the SWAC championship or win the conference, I'm looking for an assistant's job at a high level D1. Somebody going to have to be okay with that, because at the end of the day, Bryan and A.D. want to see fam win on Saturdays or Thursdays or Sundays. So somebody's going to have to come to that conclusion.
At the end of the day. All right, real quick, because I know we got to get ready to start breaking it down, breaking the tables down, pull the tents, and get ready to pack up the lawn chairs. Real quick, again, the transfer portal. Now, for women's basketball, I believe it opens Monday, men Tuesday. Obviously, the women's championship just ended today, so it makes sense that the portal opens Monday for women. The national championship game is Monday night for men. Makes sense that the portal opens the day after the championship, which is Tuesday. So we all of a sudden, our eyes will turn and we'll see how quickly will some of these coaching positions get filled this upcoming week. What does the portal look like for some of these HBCUs? There are some schools and some players who have put their name out there. And then there's others that we haven't heard anything about, but hey, we're going to start to see a flood of names coming in over the next 48 hours. That's just the new norm that we live in. So we'll be watching that. Who do you got in tomorrow's championship game, Kelvin? UConn versus Michigan.
As much as I don't like the guy from a personal standpoint, I got UConn, St. Louis kid in there, Terrace Reed, old school guy on the block. I think he'll present some shrinkage problems, which will actually make the Michigan have to pay a little bit more attention to the post than normal. And I just think that European off-ball movement of UConn is going to give Michigan some problems, especially with their number one guy got some ankle and knee problems. From I see, he was limping around, made a few shots at the end. So I got UConn by 4 points.
Drew, UConn or Michigan?
Dan Hurley does not lose in the Final Four.
Doesn't seem like it.
Dan Hurley don't lose after the Sweet 16.
He's lost. Well, he lost the Final Four last year. What are you talking about?
Michigan has one of their top players with a bad wheel
and knee.
Yeah, give me UConn.
I'm going to the store searching for a UConn hat since I brought UCLA such good luck today. I found this hat in a box after nearly 10 years. I'm gonna go find a UConn hat from some lids in a mall and see if I can bring UConn, especially after what Arizona did to me and my vacation money, my summer vacation money. Arizona just. Oh, thank you, Arizona. But anyway, I should have believed them when they said no team west of the Mississippi has ever won the national title. I wanted to believe this was the year for Arizona, but the streak continues.
They were the last team west of the Mississippi.
They were the last team, 97.
Not west of the Mississippi. Not west of the Mississippi. In the mountain or Pacific time zone.
Okay. So when did Toby Bailey and his team win?
No, 97 was the last time somebody in the Mountain time zone or the Pacific time zone won the national championship with Arizona.
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah.
Definitely was. That's when God dog, what's his name was on the
Richard Jefferson.
Yeah, Richard Jefferson was on that squad.
What squad?
That 97 squad.
Oh, that was Miles Simon. No, that was Miles Simon.
Yeah, Miles Simon. Yeah, that's right.
Simon.
Yeah, that was early with Richard Jefferson.
Miles Simon.
So UCLA won it in 95 with Toby Bailey.
Yes.
Right. So 97.
Yeah. 97 was Arizona, and that was the last time.
Last one in the central of the mountain. I mean, the mountain or the
Pacific time zone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know Kelvin got to jump, but
we got to jump too.
When Kelvin jumps, I just want to get this out, man.
Go ahead.
What a race we got going on in SWAC baseball, man.
Yeah.
10-2, Texas Southern 10-2, Florida A&M 10-2,
6 in a row, baby.
8-4, Grambling 8-4, and I still call a fool's goal, but Valley is 6-6.
What?
Yes.
6-6.
6-6.
Perfect 500 weather.
Yeah, but you got to look at the 6 they won and the 6 they lost. That's why I worry about Valley. Quickly, this weekend.
Hold on, let me ask this question. Hold on. Midweek question for you, Kelvin. I see Alcorn travels to Ole Miss. Will Ole Miss score more than 10 runs this upcoming Tuesday?
Plus 20.
Okay. just needed to watch out. Bethune-Cookman travels to LSU. Be on upset alert, LSU. Upset alert.
Man, if you don't stop.
Okay, watch what I said now. All right, go ahead, Drew. Go ahead.
SWAC slate for this weekend. Southern at Grambling, Bama State at A&M, Pine Bluff at Prairie View, Alcorn at Texas Southern, FAMU at Jackson State, Bethune at Valley.
Oh.
That's your SWAC slate for the week. And SIAC, quickly going over the standings. SIAC, Spring Hill, first place. Yeah, thank God they leaving. 20-4. Albany State, 10-6. Edward Waters, 17-7. Savannah State, 15-9. Benedict, 14-10. Morehouse, 12-10. SIAC schedule for the week, and I'm just going with the conference only schedule. Opens up Friday. Edward Waters, Savannah State. Everything else begins on Saturday. Albany State at Benedict. Spring Hill at Kentucky State. Morehouse, Clark Atlanta get together across town. Lane, Lemoyne, and Tuskegee travels to Miles. So that's your SIAC slate for the weekend.
Well, you got me since you mentioned baseball, I will mention softball. Since I went ahead and pulled up the softball standings here. Now, Drew made a point of reminding me that softball is actually played in the five HBCU conferences. All 5 of them play softball, whereas we only have really 3 baseball playing conferences. So it's a full load of teams playing softball. So over in the SWAC, Florida A&M is in first with a 13-2 conference record, winners of 6 in a row. Jackson State is in second with a 10-3 record. This is conference record. And that's all Eastern Division because right now and here's the thing. So in the SWAC softball, they only play their division opponents. Intra division. And then that is even skewed because one of those opponents you only play once. So you play 4 of the teams twice. That's 8 series. And then one of them you play once. So there's only 9 series that are played in SWAC softball. So we're at the just coming down the hill over the midway point of the season. I mentioned the record for Prairie View in the West. They are in first place with an 11-1 conference record. They've got some makeup games to do because Southern is in second with a 10-5 conference record. So right now, everyone should have played 15 games, but if you just heard the math on what I said,
Prairie View short 4.
Prairie View short a whole series. And Jackson State is short at least 2 games. So we'll see how the softball schedule shakes out this upcoming week. The schedule over in the SWAC looks like, let me see. Oh, there's a midweek makeup game, it looks like, between Jackson State and Alcorn State happening in the middle of the week. Looks like there's a wins. Yeah, conference.
No, that's non-conference. They're in 2 different.
Oh, that's non-conference. That's right, because that's East versus West. Yeah. Oh, damn. There's another East versus West, Mississippi Valley and UAPB. But anyway, getting into the Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Alabama State travels to Florida A&M. Valley travels to Alabama A&M. Texas Southern travels to Alcorn State. Prairie View travels to Grambling. Jackson State travels to Bethune. UAPB travels to Southern. And so that's your weekend matchup in the SWAC. Over in the MEAC, go ahead.
Go ahead. Finish the MEAC, and I'll switch over to the SIAC.
MEAC standings right now. Howard is in first with a 10-1 conference record, winners of 8 in a row. Norfolk State and South Carolina State are both tied at 8-4 behind them. And then you have Delaware State sitting at 6-6, winners of 3 in a row. That is, let me see if I quickly, the MEAC standings come up for the weekend. Looks like you've got Del State at North Carolina Central, Norfolk State at Coppin, Maryland Eastern Shore at South Carolina State, Howard at Morgan State. And that's your that's your MEAC schedule going into the weekend.
Dropping down to the D2 level softball, starting in the East, and I'm just going to get the above 500 teams. First place, Albany State, 14-4. Savannah State, 11-7. Valley, 13-9 is third. Clark Atlanta, 12-9 is fourth. And Edward Waters at 10-8 is fifth. On the west side, Tuskegee, 15-1. Spring Hill, 14-2. And Miles at 10-6. Those are your teams above 500. SIAC softball schedule coming up, the conference schedule coming up this weekend. You've got Benedict traveling to Savannah State, Allen traveling to Edward Waters, Albany State traveling to Clark Atlanta, Spring Hill traveling to Lemoyne Owen, Tuskegee traveling to Kentucky State, and Lane traveling to Miles this weekend. And in the CIAA, which I still don't understand what the hell they do in CIAA.
Thank you.
Softball.
I was just about to say that.
Steve, please enlighten us. I am looking forward to your video or your article to explain to us what the hell is going on with CIAA softball. So you've got conference standings. You got Virginia Union at 2-0, Bowie State at 6-0, Bluefield State at 3-0, Lincoln, PA at 1-0 in the north. And in the south, you got Fayetteville at 3-3 and Winston-Salem at 1-0. You've got two teams who don't even have a conference game, Claflin and Johnson C in the south, along with Virginia State in the north. So I don't understand what the hell is going on, but
it looks like coming up this upcoming weekend.
Yeah, I was going to say, looking at the schedule, it looks like we're finally going to get some conference matchups. And we have Johnson C at Shaw, Livingstone at Claflin, Elizabeth City, and it looks like it's some type, Elizabeth City at Bluefield, Fayetteville at Winston-Salem, Bowie at Virginia State, Lincoln at Union. So that's what we have coming up this weekend. And that's Saturday. Now, Sunday, we've got a little bit of a different slate. They're not playing 3-game series. So Sunday, you have Lincoln.
Oh, wow, that is weird.
Yeah. Lincoln at Virginia State, Bowie at Union, Livingstone at Shaw, Johnson C at Claflin.
So they're doing double headers. So they're doing double headers on Saturday. And then it's almost like you got a travel partner. You got a doubleheader on Saturday, and then you go somewhere and you do another doubleheader on Sunday.
Yeah, so it is what it is. I don't know what the hell they doing over there. Steve, help a brother out. So,
real quick, the HBCU AC softball standings look like this through 15 games played. Dillard and Stillman are both sitting at 13-2. In conference play. Right behind them is Houston Tillotson sitting at 10-5 in conference play. But the top two teams, not only just in conference, but overall record, are Dillard and Stillman, who are both where they're at. And let me see if it pulls up quickly. I can tell you who everyone is playing this upcoming weekend. Looks like you got Houston Tillotson at Wiley. This is Saturday. Rust at Dillard. Talladega at Stillman. Oakwood at Voorhees. So that is the weekend schedule over in the HBCU AC.
Might as well get baseball, Brian. HBCU AC baseballs, and we can close it out after this. In baseball, in the East, Talladega 13-1, Stillman 10-3. Those your top two teams right there. Only teams above 500. In the West, Houston Tillotson 10-5, Wiley at 9-6. Suno comes in at 8-7. And looking at their schedule for this upcoming weekend, starting Friday, Oakwood at Wilberforce, Talladega at Russ, Voorhees at Stillman. And on Saturday, did I say Wiley Tougaloo? No, I didn't. Wiley Tougaloo, Dillard, Houston Tillotson, Philander at Suno. So those are your weekend series in the HBCU AC.
What is Edwin talking about? What's the latest on Texas HBCUs joining the HBCU AC?
There was something about the remaining schools in the Red River possibly moving over to the HBCU AC. Don't know if that has come to true fruition yet, but just keep an eye out on that. I don't put anything past Dr. Kiki Baker Barnes.
Okay. I got to give a shout out to Edwin Orocho for winning the BCSN SportsWrap Women's Madness Challenge. He finished ahead of Art Wilson and our good friend Kelvin Rozier. All three of those guys picked UCLA to win, but based on points, Edwin Orocho with 1,700 total points, Wilson with 1,670, Kelvin with 1,620. And I'm trying to see where. Oh, yeah, because Kelvin was hurt by the Final Four. I think that's what that's where he lost out, and the other two beat him. And then that was the only thing that did him in. That was the only thing that Kelvin must have had UConn.
Yeah.
Yeah, that hurt. But anyway, and the other two guys picked South Carolina. Over on the men's side in our Men's Madness Challenge, let me see real quick what the men's tournament looks like. I was in first place up until those games started, and then, just all hell broke loose. But let's see. Currently in first place is Mish Best. Ricky Pomerantz is currently in first place. Now, he has Michigan to win it all. Let's see. Brandon Brunson is in second, but he's like 200 points behind. He also picked Michigan.
So he's out.
He can't get first because even if both teams win, he'll still be behind. And I think, they do a great job of
got UConn.
Oh, it's over. It's over because the one good thing is that ESPN does this group forecast thing, which I hate them for because I had to deal with that as I was looking at another contest. But he has won it because there's no path for Granny Shot or anybody else to win. It looks like that guy is going to win the contest. He's in first place without any challenge. In robbery. And Michael
Rodal Reed got me in the survivor pool.
Won the survivor contest. Good job, Mike. He picked UConn, Drew picked Arizona, and so Arizona just ends up doing in our entire show. Thanks, Arizona. Thanks. All right. What does he say?
I contest these results.
I contest these results. There you go. Well, hey. All right. Appreciate you guys sticking in with us. Appreciate Kelvin Carter for joining us as well for an unscripted edition of the BCSN Sports Wrap.
Good conversation, though, for people who have no
lots
idea
of
what they
good
were talking about.
Yeah, you guys in the chat, great job. Do us a favor, hit the thumbs up and the like button wherever and however you're watching the show. You do us a solid again if you join the BCSN Pod Zone, download it, subscribe. No matter your platform, Spotify, Amazon Music, iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts, however you consume podcast, you would do us a solid if you would become a subscriber, download episodes. You don't even have to listen to them, but just download and help the algorithm out. It all helps us any way we can. So I'm sure you can catch Drew this week in the lab with the sports professors, either Tuesday and or Thursday. Dr. Cavill's inside the HBCU Sports Lab. And then myself, Kelvin Rozier, Marcus Green, we will be the OG
Set up, road dog,
on Wednesday. Yeah, he went strategic. He did tell me he went strategic on you, Drew. He was in your head before you even knew what to do. He knew what you were going to do. So he got you on that one.
I almost picked. I wanted to pick UConn. But I knew Arizona was not going to win the championship. So
I wish. All I know is, man, I talked to basketball people that I truly respect. They swore Arizona was going to beat Michigan. I mean, when that score was 10-1, I was legitimately nervous. At 10-1 in the first 2 minutes of the contest, I said, "Are y'all sure about this? Because this ain't looking right. Something don't look right about Arizona right now, and I'm going to be upset if that coach ends up taking that job at UNC. That's all I'm going to know, because he sold everybody on the fact that he was going to that he was going to stay at Arizona. But anyway, yes, my UCLA blue hat. Thank you, Edwin. Again, this is not Southern blue. This is UCLA blue, champions of the West. With the big win. Best bets, 6'7". She should be the #1 draft pick in the WNBA. If she's not, they smoking. Whoever's the #1 team in the WNBA draft. If you're not drafting the girl from UCLA, that's your loss. She would root, anyway. But all right, let's get out of here, Drew. Thank you guys in the chat. Exactly, Edwin. 6'7". Okay, guys. Be well this week. Have a great week. Some of us are off tomorrow, us Christian educators. The rest of you head to work tomorrow, and 4-day week next week or this upcoming week. And yeah, that's it. So for Kelvin Carter, who joined us earlier, and A.D. Drew, I'm Brian Fulford. You've been watching the BCSN Sports Wrap right here on the Black College Sports Network. Have a great week. Peace out.
Travel light, everybody. We'll holla.